42,184 career points. LeBron James passed 42,000 points and left jaws dragging on hardwood. The record people said would never be touched, crushed. Kareem's mark of 38,387 held strong since the spring of 1984. That's over 38 years of legends trying and failing. But LeBron didn't just inch past it, he stomped it into the floorboards. Kareem had 2 decades of domination, nearly 1,600 games, and enough skyhooks to last several lifetimes. His consistency was insane, dropping 20+ a game in 17 seasons. Back then, he wasn't chucking threes either. Dude made 1 3-pointer his entire career. Just 1. That's not a typo. He did it all in the paint and at the line. Now flip to LeBron, straight out of high school. At 18, he took the long road, playing over 1,500 games across 22 seasons. His scoring came from every inch of the floor. 3-pointers? Over 2,500. He adapted, evolved, and basically rewrote the blueprint. His true shooting percentage sat at 59%, an efficiency machine. And his conditioning? Unreal, still dominating into his 40s. Kareem's record felt eternal, but LeBron made history with a jumper that turned time itself. 38 years and 308 days. That's how long the throne stood. Now it belongs to LeBron James, averaging a triple-double for a season. Back in 2017, Russell Westbrook didn't just make noise, he shook up a record people had stopped even dreaming about, averaging a triple-double across an entire season. Yeah, that was supposed to stay in the vault with Oscar Robertson, but Westbrook kicked the door in and did it anyway. Oscar had owned that legendary mark since the early 60s, 30.8 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 11.4 assists per game. He did it when the game moved fast, possessions piled up, and teams shot like it was dodgeball. 41 triple-doubles in one season? Insane. And no one came close after that. Then Westbrook showed up with a season that felt like it came out of a video game. 31.6 points, 10.7 rebounds, 10.4 assists. He didn't just match Oscar, he topped the triple-double count with 42. In today's NBA, where roles are specialized and pace slowed way down, that's ridiculous. He wasn't coasting either. Every game he was diving into traffic, snagging rebounds over centers, and firing assists like he had 6 eyes. That kind of production across 81 games? Absurd. Westbrook turned an untouchable feat into a fresh standard. He didn't just break the record, he made it modern. 4,058 career 3-pointers. Steph Curry launching over 4,000 threes is what happens when math, rhythm, and ridiculous hand-eye coordination form a basketball player. He didn't just beat the record, he turned it into a museum exhibit. Ray Allen once held the crown with 2,973, and it stood for nearly 11 years. But Curry passed that, then lapped it. Allen played 18 seasons, made threes at a 40% clip, and did it in an era that didn't worship the arc like today's game. He needed over 1,300 games to get there, and people thought that was untouchable. Not anymore. Curry broke the record at Madison Square Garden, of all places, and did it in just 789 games. He didn't just nudge past Allen, he stormed through him with 9,589 attempts and counting. He's hit over 4,000 now, and that percentage, 42.3. Wild. What made it so special was how Curry changed the entire league while doing it. His range forced defenders out to the parking lot, and now every team is jacking threes like it's a contest. The league adjusted to him, not the other way around. Allen held it for over a decade, but now it's Curry's world behind the arc. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, 30 assists in a single game. On December 30th, 1990, Scott Skiles didn't just run the offense, he turned it into a one-man assist factory. He dropped 30 assists in one game, passing the old record of 29 set by Kevin Porter back in 1978. The Orlando Magic weren't even a powerhouse. They were 12-21 going into that night. The Nuggets, even worse. But that game, pure chaos. Denver's frantic up-tempo style under Paul Westhead left them wide open, and Skiles took full advantage. He only played 44 minutes, but he carved up Denver's defense with precision. 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals to go along with those 39. He shot over 53% from the field and hit 2 of 3 from deep. 14 assists came in the first half, 10 more in the third, and 6 in the fourth. Denver's entire team only managed 14. It was like watching a guy with cheat codes installed. The opportunities were there, but it still took elite timing, vision, and execution. And honestly, a perfect storm. Today's game is way different. Slower pace, shared playmaking, tighter defense, everything stacked against the one guy doing that again. Skiles didn't just break the record, he made it look unreachable. The number 30 is still sitting alone at the top, and no one's really come close since. It's a perfect snapshot of how one night can turn into NBA legend. Most consecutive 30-point games in the modern era. James Harden's 32-game heater in the 2019 season wasn't just a hot streak, it was basketball madness, stretched across 2 full months. From mid-December to late February, Harden was averaging over 41 points a night. Not just putting up numbers, he was dragging defenders around like they were on leashes. Houston ran everything through him, and he made sure they got every last drop out of it. And what makes it crazier? He ended the streak with 28 points because he chose to stop. He could have gunned for more, but he passed on chasing Wilt Chamberlain's ghost. That ghost? A mind-melting 65-game streak. Harden still owns the longest of this era. Kobe Bryant? He dropped 16 in a row during the 2002 to 2003 season, averaging just over 40. Tracy McGrady got to 14 that same year while leading the league in scoring on a barely functioning Magic team. Moses Malone had 13 back in the early 80s, putting up over 31 and nearly 15 rebounds per game. Kevin Durant ran off 12 in 2014 while on his way to an MVP. Even legends like Michael Jordan, Shaq, and Steph Curry each hit 11 straight. Jordan's came in his 37-point season, Curry averaged 40, and Shaq bullied everything in sight. But Harden's 32, that one stands alone at the top of the modern era's scoring mountain. Youngest MVP in NBA history. Derrick Rose winning Most Valuable Player at 22 years and 6 months old wasn't just impressive. It flipped the league's expectations on their heads. The 2010 to 2011 season belonged to him. He led the Chicago Bulls to a league-best 62-20 record while carrying the weight of a city still glowing from its Jordan-era memories. Rose played 81 games that year, logging nearly 38 minutes per night. He put up 25 points, nearly 8 assists, and over 4 rebounds per game. He shot 44.5% from the field, nailed over 85% from the line, and mixed in a decent clip from deep. His true shooting sat at 55%, solid for a guy who was constantly facing double teams. What made that season special wasn't just the stats, it was how he transformed the Bulls. Under Thibs' grindhouse system, Rose was the engine. Explosive drives, insane finishes, fearless leadership. He grabbed 113 of 121 first-place MVP votes. That's not close. That's domination. Before him, the youngest MVP was Wes Unseld at 23. Rose beat that by half a year, setting a new bar for young stars. And though his career hit some hard turns later on, that MVP run is still one of the brightest flashes of brilliance the NBA has ever seen. Most points by a foreign-born player. Dirk Nowitzki didn't just play in the NBA. He rewrote what international greatness looked like. Over 21 seasons with the Dallas Mavericks, he piled up 31,560 points. That put him 6th all-time when he walked away in 2019 and first among players born outside the United States. Nobody else had done it like him. He broke Hakeem's record on November 11th, 2014, sliding past 26,946 points in a game against the Kings. Dirk hit 26,953 and never looked back. The crazy part, he made it look routine. That fadeaway, deadly. That shooting touch, silky. And through it all, he stayed with one team. The Mavericks were his only stop. Beyond the points, he was a 14-time All-Star, a league MVP in 2007, and the engine behind Dallas's only title in 2011. He even picked up Finals MVP in that run, knocking off a loaded Miami squad. And let's not forget his 12 All-NBA selections. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2023, no questions asked. His game stretched the floor before it was cool. His loyalty, unmatched. Dirk didn't just score, he changed how people saw the power forward position. His legacy's not just in numbers, it's in every international player chasing a dream he proved was possible. Most triple-doubles in a single playoff run. Nikola Jokic turned the 2023 postseason into his own stat padding showcase. With actual wins to back it up, he racked up 10 triple-doubles in just 20 games, breaking a record that had survived since the Johnson administration. Wilt Chamberlain's mark of 7 had stood tall since 1967, and Jokic just slid right past it like it was nothing. He sealed the deal with a 30-point, 14-rebound, 13-assist masterpiece in the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers. That wasn't just a triple-double. It punched Denver's ticket to the finals for the first time in franchise history. Over the full run, Jokic averaged 30 points, 13.5 rebounds, and nearly 10 assists. He shot 55% from the floor and over 46% from 3. That's not just good for a center, it's criminal. In the finals, he even dropped a 32-21-10 game which had literally never happened in NBA Finals history. And in that same Game 3, he and Jamal Murray both posted 30-point triple-doubles. First time ever, not just in the playoffs, in any NBA game. He finished with 600 points, 269 boards, and 190 assists. Oh, and Finals MVP. This wasn't just a record-breaking postseason. It was a redefining one. Jokic didn't just change the game for big men, he tore up the whole blueprint. Best regular season record. The 2016 Golden State Warriors rewrote the win column with 73 victories, breaking the Bulls' legendary 72-10 record from the 90s. That run wasn't just dominant, it was mathematically absurd. They opened the season with 24 straight wins, the best start in NBA history across all major American leagues. No team had done that, not even close. At home, they stacked 54 straight wins across 2 seasons. On the road, they won 34 times, setting another league record. And across 82 games, they never lost 2 in a row. The level of focus, talent, and consistency was unreal. Steph Curry led the way, averaging over 30 points per game and hitting 402 threes. That's not just the most ever, it broke basketball. He became the first unanimous MVP in league history. Draymond Green backed him up with 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, 500 assists, and triple-digit steals and blocks. Klay Thompson bombs away, including a 45-point night. Even with Steve Kerr out for 43 games, they went 39-4 under Luke Walton. The death lineup brought chaos, speed, shooting, defense, all packed into one group. But in the finals, it unraveled. After leading 3-1, they lost 3 straight to Cleveland. Still, that 73-9 season, it's the gold standard for regular season greatness. Nobody's touched it since. Highest free throw percentage in a season. Jose Calderon's 2008 to 2009 campaign was free throw perfection in motion. Playing for the Toronto Raptors, he hit 151 of his 154 attempts. That's a ridiculous 98.1%. And no, that's not a typo. He missed just 3 shots from the line all season. Before Calderon, the best mark belonged to Calvin Murphy, who shot 95.8% back in the 1980 to 81 season. That number had stood for decades, but Calderon stepped up and drained them like it was a layup drill. To qualify for the free throw percentage title, a player needs at least 125 makes. Cleared that with room to spare. What makes this feat wild isn't just the percentage, it's the consistency. In 68 games with defenders, pressure, and fatigue, he stayed locked in. Most players would kill for a 75% clip. Calderon, he practically needed a telescope to see that low. This wasn't a guy living at the line either. He just made every trip count. Nobody since has topped it. And honestly, how do you beat 98.1? You have to be robotic. It's one of those records that doesn't get flashy headlines, but for pure efficiency and focus, it's absolutely untouchable. Most three-pointers in a single season. Steph Curry's 2015 to 2016 season didn't just break records, it detonated them. 402 three-pointers in 79 games. That's over 5 per night, and he shot them at over 45%. It's one of the wildest blends of volume and efficiency the league has ever seen. He beat his own record of 286 from the year before, and did it with time to spare. He wasn't just chucking. He shot 50% from the field, 90% from the line, and made the exclusive 50-40-90 club while leading the league with 30.1 points per game. His true shooting, 66.9%. Let that number sit for a second. And the league noticed. Curry was named Most Valuable Player for the 2nd straight year, this time unanimously. That had never happened before. He also averaged over 2 steals a game and played just over 34 minutes per night, barely needing extended run to torch opponents. In February, he tied the then record with 12 threes against the Thunder, including a game winner from 38 feet in overtime. Then on the final night of the season, he dropped 10 more against Memphis to hit 402. That season didn't just change Curry's legacy, it forced the entire NBA to recalibrate how it viewed the three-point line. The old rules didn't apply anymore. He'd rewritten them. Youngest player to score 70 points. On March 24th, 2017, Devin Booker didn't just put up numbers. He crashed through history with 70 points against the Celtics. At only 20 years and 145 days old, he became the youngest player ever to score that many in a single NBA game. He dropped it at TD Garden, a place where legends usually wear green, not purple and orange. Booker logged 45 minutes, hit 21 of 40 shots, nailed 4 from deep, and went 24 of 26 from the line. He didn't just get buckets, he got them efficiently. A true shooting percentage of 68% speaks for itself. He added 8 boards, 6 assists, 3 steals, and a block just to round things out. He scored 51 in the second half alone, including 28 in the fourth. Boston couldn't stop him. Nobody could. His 70 broke the Suns' previous scoring record of 60 set by Tom Chambers. It also set the highest single game point total ever against the Celtics. Before him, only 5 other players had scored 70 or more before him. Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant, David Thompson, Elgin Baylor, and David Robinson. Now Booker's in that group, and he got there first, age-wise. That night didn't just show off his scoring chops, it launched him onto a list of all-time performances, and he was just getting started. Lowest winning percentage in a season. The 2012 Charlotte Bobcats didn't just have a bad year, they had the worst year ever. Their record, 7-59. That's a 10.6% winning rate, worse than the 72-73 Sixers, who at least managed 9 wins. They finished that lockout-shortened season on a 23-game losing streak, capped off with a blowout loss to the Knicks. It wasn't just one thing, it was everything. Offensively, they were last in the league, averaging 87 points per game. Defensively, even worse, giving up over 100. The roster was a mix of rookies and role players trying to play superhero ball. Gerald Henderson led the team with 15 points per game. Rookie Kemba Walker showed flashes but was tossed into the fire fast. Bismack Biyombo had some defensive upside but was still raw, averaging under 6 rebounds and just under 2 blocks. Paul Silas was on the bench for that disaster, and Rich Cho was in the front office. Michael Jordan owned it all. And yes, he watched this unfold from a front row seat. They even struck out in the draft lottery, landing the 2nd pick, despite having the best odds. They picked Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, who didn't exactly flip the franchise around. That season didn't just break records. It became the blueprint for rock bottom in the NBA. Most total points and assists in a season. In 2022, Trae Young didn't just score. He orchestrated. He led the entire league in total points and total assists, finishing with 2,155 and 737 respectively. That's not common. It's only happened once before. Nate Archibald pulled it off in the early 70s, and now Young's right there with him. He played 76 games and averaged 28.4 points and 9.7 assists per game. But those averages don't even tell the whole story. He was the engine behind everything the Hawks did on offense. Shot over 46% from the field, 38 from deep, and 90 from the line. His true shooting percentage, 60.3. That's elite efficiency, especially for a guy carrying the offensive load every single night. What makes this so wild is the era. Today's game has hyper-specialized roles. Scorers score, passers pass. Young did both, and he did them better than anyone else that season. It wasn't just volume either. He faced double teams, traps, and still kept finding ways to make plays. This wasn't just stat padding, it was sustained brilliance. When you top the league in both points and assists, you're not just valuable, you're foundational. That season stamped Trae Young as one of the most complete offensive weapons in basketball. Most career triple-double. Russell Westbrook didn't just chase triple-doubles, he devoured them. With 215 total, he holds more than anyone in league history. 203 came in the regular season and 12 in the playoffs. That puts him ahead of legends like Oscar Robertson, Nikola Jokic, Magic Johnson, and LeBron James. He hit number 200 in 2024 while playing for the Nuggets, dishing out 14 assists to go with 10 rebounds and 12 points. His first triple-double came during his rookie season, and by 2017, he exploded. That year, he set the single-season record with 42 triple-doubles, breaking Oscar Robertson's long-standing mark. He averaged over 31 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists, and grabbed the MVP for that chaos-filled performance. And he didn't stop there. He averaged a triple-double, not once, not twice, but 4 separate seasons. 2017, 2018, 2019, and again in 2021. Nobody else has done that, period. As of May 2025, he's logged over 26,000 points, nearly 10,000 assists, and over 8,600 rebounds in 1,237 games. He's a stat sheet, wrecking ball. Westbrook's triple-doubles aren't just numbers. They're a reflection of how he plays. Non-stop energy, full tilt, every night. Love it or not, no one's done it more. Highest three-point percentage in a season. In the 2009 to 2010 season, Kyle Korver turned long-range shooting into an art exhibit. Playing for the Utah Jazz, he hit 59 of his 110 three-point attempts, finishing with a ridiculous 53.6% from deep. That's the best mark in league history for a full season with at least 110 attempts. Yes, better than Steve Kerr, better than anyone. Korver did it in just 52 games, coming off the bench and logging under 19 minutes a night. He wasn't out there launching dozens of shots. He was patient, precise, and deadly. He averaged just over 7 points per game, but nearly every one of them came off a laser-guided bomb from beyond the arc. Before that, Kerr held the record with 52.4% from three in the mid-90s. Korver cleared it and never looked back. No one's touched it since. And this wasn't a one-time fluke. Korver led the league in three-point percentage 4 different times. Nobody else has done that. Not even the usual suspects with all the highlight reels. His 2009 to 2010 season proved that efficiency can be just as jaw-dropping as volume. He didn't need to break scoreboards, just nets. It's still the gold standard for precision shooting from distance. Most free throw attempts in a game. Dwight Howard didn't just set the record once, he went back and did it again. 39 free throw attempts in a single game. Not once, but twice. First on January 12, 2012 with the Magic, then again on March 12, 2013 with the Lakers. The guy practically turned the stripe into a second home. The first came in Oakland against the Warriors, where Golden State spammed the Hack-a-Howard button all night long. Howard dropped 45 points and snagged 23 rebounds. He only hit 21 of those 39 free throws, but he still broke Wilt Chamberlain's record of 34 attempts that had stood since 1962. That's 5 decades of history erased by a barrage of whistles. A little over a year later, he repeated the madness, this time in Orlando, in front of a hostile crowd that definitely remembered how things ended with him there. He scored 39 points, pulled in 16 boards, and sank 25 free throws out of 39 tries. That game set a Lakers franchise record for free throws made and attempted. These weren't flukes. Teams were using every trick to stop him, but Howard still put up massive numbers. Love or hate the strategy, those games showed how dominant and polarizing he really was inside. Most playoff points in a career. LeBron James owns the postseason with 8,289 playoff points across 292 games. He sits atop the NBA's all-time playoff scoring list by a mile. He passed Michael Jordan's 5,987 back in 2017 and has just kept adding to the pile since. That's not just volume, it's consistency. LeBron averages 28.4 points per playoff game, and he's done it for multiple franchises in different eras against different dynasties. Nearly 3,000 field goals, 483s, and over 1,800 made free throws. That's an all-you-can-eat buffet of offense. And his shooting splits, just under 50% from the field, and over 58 in true shooting. That's not just efficient, it's surgical. He also leads in playoff games played, minutes, wins, field goals, turnovers. Because when you've carried that many playoff loads, you get the good and the bad. He's logged over 12,000 playoff minutes. That's not just durability, it's postseason survival. From Cleveland to Miami to Los Angeles, LeBron's playoff legacy isn't just built on highlight reels. It's numbers like these. He's passed every milestone, 6,000 points, 7,000, then 8. His postseason career is basically its own era. Future players will chase his total, but catching it, that's a whole different game. Most scoring titles in a career. Michael Jordan didn't just score, he owned the category. He led the league in points per game 10 times, more than any player in NBA history. From 1998, if Jordan was on the court, odds were high. He was leading the league in scoring. He first topped the charts in the 1986 to 87 season with an absurd 37.1 points per game. Then he just kept going. 35 the next year, 32.5 the year after, and so on. He rattled off 7 straight scoring titles from 1987 through 1993, tying Wilt Chamberlain for the longest such streak ever. After his first retirement, Jordan came back and picked up right where he left off, winning 3 more scoring titles from 1996 through 1998. He closed out his final full season with 28.7 points per game at age 35. Across his regular season career, he averaged 30.1 points per game, the highest ever. In the playoffs, 33.4. Also number 1, he had 562 games with 30 or more, 173 with 40 or more, 31 with 50, and 4 with 60 or more. Jordan's 10 scoring titles weren't just a stat, they were a message. Nobody got buckets like him, and no one ever will at that clip. Most steals in a season. In the 1985 to 86 season, Alvin Robertson didn't just defend, he raided. He finished with 301 steals, the most ever recorded in a single NBA season. Nobody's touched that number since, not even close. Over 82 games, he averaged 3.67 steals per night, which is basically robbery with a basketball in hand. He wasn't just camping in passing lanes either. He was everywhere, snatching the ball, stripping dribblers, disrupting offenses like it was second nature. At 35 minutes per game, he also poured in 17 points, grabbed over 6 rebounds, and dished out 5.5 assists. And he shot over 51% from the field. The guy was a problem. That season earned him a pile of hardware: Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved Player, an All-Star nod, All-NBA Second Team, and All-Defensive Second Team. Not bad for a guy whose main job was to ruin everyone else's game plan. And his defensive legacy didn't stop there. He still holds the highest career steals per game average at 2.71. He's also the only guard to ever post a quadruple-double: 20 points, 11 boards, 10 assists, and 10 steals in one game. Robertson's 301 steals remain one of the most underrated, untouchable marks in league history. It's defensive excellence in its purest, most relentless form. Most free throws made without a miss in a playoff game. On May 17th, 2011, Dirk Nowitzki turned the charity stripe into a weapon. He hit 24 free throws on 24 attempts in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals against Oklahoma City. That's the most made without a miss in a playoff game, breaking Paul Pierce's old mark of 21. Dirk wasn't just cashing in freebies, he was cooking. He dropped 48 points on just 15 shots from the field, hitting 12 of them. That's 80% from the floor, while drawing fouls from 7 different defenders, including all 5 allowed on Serge Ibaka. It wasn't just dominance, it was surgical. Every time the Thunder tried to slow him down, he punished them from the line. Calm, routine, automatic. It didn't matter who they threw at him, he just kept rising, drawing contact, and heading back to the line. His perfection at the stripe helped the Mavericks take a 1-0 series lead with a 121-112 win. That night wasn't just efficient, it was historically absurd. A playoff game where a player misses 1 field goal and 0 free throws, that's unicorn level stuff, and it helped set the tone for a run that would end with a championship. Dirk didn't just shoot well, he carved his name into playoff lore. Most blocks in a season. Mark Eaton's season wasn't just strong, it was ridiculous. He finished with 456 blocks across 82 games. That's over 5 blocks a game. Nobody's ever come close to touching that since. Before Eaton did it, no one had even crossed that line. And now it's just this ghost number towering over every shot blocker who's dared to try. What makes it wild is the consistency. He didn't miss a single game and still averaged more blocks per game than some centers average rebounds. It forced teams to rethink their entire offense when facing Utah. Players just stopped going inside because they knew Eaton was lurking like a skyscraper with arms. It wasn't just a bunch of lucky swats. He was reading plays, positioning perfectly, and turning back shots like it was his actual job. Well, it kinda was. He wasn't padding stats either. The guy grabbed 11 boards a night, threw in almost 10 points, and still had the energy to block 5.5 shots every game. That year earned him Defensive Player of the Year and All-Defensive First Team honors. The records stood for nearly 4 decades. In today's league, with pace and space and less focus on rim protectors, it's probably safe to say nobody's breaking that. Most steals in a half. TJ McConnell did something no one had ever pulled off before. He swiped 9 steals in just one half on March 3rd, 2021. That broke the old mark of 8, a record that guys like Michael Jordan and Fat Lever had shared. Pretty impressive company to leave in the dust. And McConnell didn't even start the game. He came off the bench and still managed to rattle the Cavaliers so badly they probably started checking their pockets at halftime. His timing was laser sharp, reading passes like he'd written the other team's playbook. By the time the second half rolled around, Cleveland must have been begging for a timeout that never came. What's even crazier is he didn't stop at 9 steals. He finished with 16 points, 13 assists, and 10 steals. Yep, a triple-double, but not just any triple-double. He's the only player in NBA history to get one with steals off the bench, and he did it on a perfect 8-for-8 shooting night. His defense basically turned the tide in a game they were losing by 19 points. That kind of hustle shifted the whole energy and helped Indiana pull off the win. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, but it was devastating. That record, still untouched. Good luck to anyone thinking about topping that kind of defensive chaos. Michael Jordan pushed the last dance. The theory says Jordan watched the media crown LeBron after that 2016 comeback and decided it was time to remind the world who built the throne in the first place. After LeBron led Cleveland from down 3-1 to beat the Warriors, the GOAT chatter exploded. People weren't just tossing out his name, they were planting a flag. And right around that time, Jordan reportedly hit up ESPN and said, "Let's do it." That wasn't some random choice. The timing was sharp. Jordan said yes to the documentary the same year LeBron had that title run. That's not subtle. It's like a chess move from a guy who'd already won the game. The Last Dance wasn't just about basketball nostalgia. It was a straight-up power play. 10 episodes, full-throttle Jordan mythology. 6 titles, legendary drive, insane impact. Everything about it screamed, remember who started this. NBA stars like Ja Morant even said it flipped their pick in the GOAT debate, and a bunch of analysts agreed. The show gave Jordan back the spotlight at the exact moment LeBron was gaining steam. Media outlets even said Jordan felt the pressure. He saw the shift and responded by rolling out his legacy like a cinematic mic drop. Fans took it further, claiming the documentary was a calculated response to LeBron's finals win. They saw Jordan trying to freeze the narrative, make sure the spotlight circled back. The idea is wild, but the timing? It's too perfect. Jordan waited, then he struck, and he didn't whisper. He dropped 10 full hours of GOAT-level storytelling. Paul Pierce. Wheelchair game was a publicity stunt. The theory claims Pierce's 2-minute wheelchair exit during the 2008 finals wasn't about an injury, it was theater. He hit the floor grabbing his knee, looked finished, then reappeared minutes later like nothing happened and started drilling threes. That whiplash moment has had fans raising eyebrows for years. People have floated a far less heroic explanation. He needed the bathroom. That's right. Some say he used the wheelchair to hide an accident. In 2019, Pierce joked on live television that he just had to go to the bathroom. When pressed if it was number 1 or number 2, he said something went down. That joke lit up the internet. Analysts teased him. Fans went full detective mode. Then there's the visual evidence. A dark stain on his shorts in later footage was waved around like a smoking gun. Turns out that clip was from a different game, but that didn't stop believers. One Reddit user said Pierce needed a clean getaway and left in his own shorts disaster. Subtle? Not really. Memorable? Definitely. Now mix that with the fact that this whole sequence, injury, wheelchair, return, MVP, is gold for rating. It's a hero arc that the league loves. It kept eyeballs glued to screens and gave Boston a finals moment for the ages. And right when the buzz peaked, Pierce walked it back. He tweeted that people were mad he beat the Lakers and claimed the joke wasn't real, but the damage was done. The mystery only deepened. The theory says the wheelchair wasn't medical, it was strategic. Bathroom blunder, dramatic exit, and comeback glory all wrapped into one weird, unforgettable finals moment. Lou Williams needed his first shot. The theory here is simple. If Lou saw his first shot go in, the rest of the night usually turned into a highlight reel. But if that first one rimmed out, the numbers took a nosedive. When he played for Houston in 2017, the split was wild. If he hit the first shot in those regular season games, he averaged 19.4 points on 51% shooting. Miss it, that dropped to 12.3 points on just over 32%. That's a 7-point swing, just off one early possession. The playoffs told the same story. First shot went in, almost 19 points a game, missed it, barely 12. The shooting percentage gap there was even wider, over 20 points. That's not a tiny mental hiccup. That's a full-on rhythm meltdown. People actually ran the numbers. Confidence intervals, sample size checks, all the stuff nerds love, and it held up. One fan even laid it out in a spreadsheet, claiming the theory wasn't just a hunch, it was proven. And looking at the pattern across regular season and playoffs, it's hard to argue. It wasn't just a random hot or cold night. This looked like a full system reset based on one bucket. Lou wasn't just streaky, he was totally tethered to how the game started. That first make flipped a switch, miss it, and he'd be chucking bricks. The difference wasn't subtle either. We're talking 6 to 7 extra points and a 20-point field goal swing. So yeah, based on this data, Lou Williams played like his whole game was built around that opening shot falling through the net. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Zion Williamson was rushed back in 2020 under NBA pressure to boost ratings. The theory starts with how the season was set up. Before it even began, the NBA locked in 11 of the Pelicans' first 20 games for national television. That's a massive spotlight for a rookie. Then came the setback. Zion had knee surgery in October and missed 44 games. Suddenly, all those primetime games looked like empty promises. But in late January, Zion made his debut. He dropped 22 points in just under 18 minutes, including a stretch of 17 straight. It was electric, but he was also on a strict minutes cap, which raised question. If he was healthy enough to dominate like that, why limit him so heavily? According to the theory, the league felt the pressure. Ratings had dipped. The Anthony Davis trade left New Orleans with one real draw, Zion. So when networks started getting antsy, the NBA allegedly leaned on the Pelicans to bring him back. His return lined up perfectly with another round of national broadcasts. And sure enough, the buzz returned. Viewership jumped, merchandise moved, and the Pelicans suddenly looked like a playoff threat heading into the bubble. But what followed added fuel. Zion struggled with injuries ever since. From hamstrings to conditioning issues, he's missed long stretches every single season. Believers in the theory think this all traces back to that rush debut, pushed out too early to save the league's narrative and protect broadcast numbers. So the theory holds that his first game back wasn't about basketball readiness. It was a move built for cameras and headlines, not long-term health. The timing, the return, and everything that followed still keep this theory burning. Mike Scott was driven away from DC by government buildings. The theory paints Mike Scott as more than just a stretch forward. It turns him into a man who couldn't stomach cruising past federal landmarks. It starts with his known beliefs. Back in 2018, a Washington Post article called him a locker room favorite, but also highlighted that he openly believed the government was hiding UFOs. That label, conspiracy theorist, has followed him ever since. From there, fans started tying dots that may or may not exist. His time in Washington ended after the 2020 to 2021 season, and while his exit looked standard, contract up, free agency move, the theory claims otherwise. Some believe his second stint with the Wizards ended because he hated the daily drive past DC's endless parade of agencies, departments, and monuments. Supporters of the theory argue that for someone deeply skeptical of government transparency, being surrounded by federal buildings every day might have felt like being inside the belly of the beast. It wasn't just traffic, they say, it was tension. The belief is that he didn't vibe with that environment. And when the season wrapped, he chose not to return. Instead, he moved on, briefly signing with New Orleans. There's also the timing. Right after leaving Washington, he didn't land another long-term NBA contract. That's only helped fuel speculation that he opted out of the DC scene entirely. And with no direct quote from Scott shutting down the claim, the mystery hangs. To believers, his well-known distrust of federal secrecy makes this departure feel less like a routine contract expiration and more like a quiet escape. Buddy Hield cycle. It kicks off the same way every time. He gets traded or earns a starting role and fans get fired up. In July of 2024, he landed with Golden State, slid right into major minutes, and by October, he was dropping over 21 points a night while hitting about 50% from three. It looked like a steal. Then the fan buzz starts. Why isn't he playing more? The shooting numbers are elite, and the online hype machine starts pushing for more minutes. But right after that heat check phase, the usual cracks show. His defense, still shaky. Analysts call him streaky and point to tunnel vision. And then Steve Kerr chimes in. He loves the spacing, but says Hield's pressing too much and losing rhythm. That's where the pattern turns. He gets pulled late in games. Bench minutes increase. Suddenly he's not closing tight contests. And by the All-Star break, he's in that weird middle ground. Dangerous on a hot night, but unreliable when the team needs a stop. Then it resets. New season, new hope, same cycle. Fans and analysts keep pointing to the data. His percentages spike early, then settle back around 37% from three and 41% overall. His role shrinks. Media call it the Buddy Hield prop. Draymond's even snapped at him for mental lapses in clutch time. The theory says it's not just coincidence. It's a loop, high start, fan frenzy, defensive exposure, reduced minutes, rinse and repeat. The pattern plays out in full view, and every time, someone thinks it'll be different, then it's not. Doc Rivers is protected by the NBA machine. The theory builds off one obvious pattern. Rivers keeps landing high-profile coaching gigs, no matter the playoff outcomes. Since that title in Boston, way back in 2008, he's bounced from the Celtics to the Clippers, then the Sixers, and now the Bucks. That's 4 major franchises without ever really disappearing from the coaching scene. Supporters of the theory say his survival isn't just about coaching. It's image, media, and connections. He's polished on the mic, knows how to work a press conference, and stays in the media spotlight. Between coaching jobs, he was on ESPN and ABC broadcast, keeping his face and voice in the conversation. He's also deeply tied into the league's inner circle. As senior vice president of basketball operations and a big name in the NBA Coaches Association, he's right there beside league initiatives. From voter campaigns to social issues, Rivers is constantly aligned with the NBA's public stance. Then there's the player angle. he's loved by veterans. Guys like J.J. Redick and DeAndre Jordan have vouched for him. That's kept his locker room steady and front offices calm. Teams trust him with stars, even when the results don't follow. And the results? That's the fuel for the theory. He's blown multiple 3-1 series leads. Fans and former players, like Marcin Gortat, have questioned his adjustments and postseason planning. Yet every time he flames out, another team hires him. The theory says Rivers has an immunity other coaches don't. His connections, persona, and league-aligned reputation create a kind of force field. His playoff record might sag, but the NBA keeps handing him keys to championship rosters. The machine keeps moving, and Doc stays in the driver's seat. 2005 NBA draft was rigged for the Bucks to land a new star big man. The theory centers on the belief that Milwaukee, stuck in post-Kareem irrelevance, was handed the #1 pick to solve a glaring hole. Since Kareem left in the 1980s, the Bucks hadn't had a true franchise big man. That changed in 2005 when they landed the top pick and took Andrew Bogut, a 7-foot Australian who had just averaged over 17 points and 10 rebounds in college and was named National Player of the Year. Here's where it gets suspicious. The Bucks only had a 6.3% chance of getting that top spot. That low probability jump immediately sparked theories. And this wasn't an isolated incident. Fans link it to a longer history of lottery oddities. The Knicks in 1985, the Cavaliers in 2003, and the Hornets in 2012, all viewed as convenient results that helped the league storylines. Milwaukee was floundering. They needed a star. Bogut checked every box. The theory says the NBA saw an opportunity to revive a fading franchise by placing a marketable big man right in the middle of the Midwest. It gave the team new life, gave fans hope, and gave the league a fresh narrative to push. Even though the lottery now uses ping pong balls and outside auditing, believers argue that subtle manipulation is still possible. Not blatant fixing, just enough nudging. The odds, the need, and the reward all aligned too perfectly. So for conspiracy theorists, Milwaukee's leap to the top wasn't luck. It was a move made to reignite a franchise and protect the league's broader business play. Nico Harrison is a strategic NBA plan. It starts with the resume. Harrison spent 19 years at Nike, but had zero front office experience before the Mavericks handed him both the general manager and president of basketball operations roles. In June of 2021, no scouting background, no team building apprenticeship, just a clean leap from sneakers to strategy. Then came the chaos. First, he traded for Kyrie Irving in the middle of the 2023 season. That move exploded on every sports platform, and it paid off when Dallas made the finals in 2024. But in February of 2025, Harrison detonated the Luka era, trading him to the Lakers for Anthony Davis and picks. That wasn't just a move, it was a ratings earthquake. Next came the lottery. With just 1.8% odds, Dallas landed the #1 pick and drafted Cooper Flagg. The whole thing played out like a wrestling storyline. Trade your franchise player, win the lottery, reload with a generational prospect. The theory says this isn't strategy, it's theater. Inside the organization, things got messy. Harrison reportedly fired staff by video call, froze out dissenters, and made major calls without Jason Kidd's input. Coaches resented it. Staff turned over. But from the outside, it looked like headline gold. And then there's the coverage. Every time Harrison makes a move, it dominates the media cycle. He's built for virality. Big names, big moves, big backlash. Fans protested, demanded he be fired, even sent threats. But Mark Cuban stood behind him. No suspension, no demotion. The theory says he's not a traditional executive. He's the league's chaos agent. High drama, maximum engagement, and somehow always insulated. Solomon Hill was planted to halt LeBron's prime. March 20th, 2021. LeBron James, then 36, and playing at an MVP level, went down hard after a dive by Solomon Hill. It wasn't just a bad fall. Hill crashed into LeBron's ankle, and the result was a high ankle sprain. That injury knocked LeBron out and triggered the beginning of a slower, more injury-prone stretch in his career. Now here's where things spiral. Solomon Hill wasn't a rotation staple. He averaged around 5 minutes and 2 points per game that season. Fans saw the collision as reckless, an out-of-character dive by a guy who wasn't really making impact plays. Teammates like Montrezl Harrell and Dennis Schroeder didn't hold back. They called it unnecessary, said Hill took LeBron's leg out. That tone sparked a wave of theories online. Fans started calling Hill an agent of destruction. Some suggested the league or certain teams wanted LeBron off the board. After all, this was late prime LeBron, still explosive, still feared, and leading a dangerous Lakers team. Take him out, and the playoff picture shifts. The aftermath gave believers ammo. LeBron's mobility dropped. His defense slipped. He started getting hurt more often, and all that started right after that one hit. Fans pointed to the suspicious timing, the uncharacteristic dive, and the contrast between LeBron's dominance before the injury and his gradual decline afterward. The theory says Hill wasn't just chasing a loose ball, he was there to break the rhythm, a fringe player creating franchise-altering chaos, just in time to reset the title race. The play, the reactions, and the fallout all keep the suspicion alive. Adam Silver targeted the Sixers to derail the process. That's the core of the theory, and it starts back in 2015. At that point, the Sixers were deep into their tank-driven rebuild. Attendance was dropping, and critics said the team was dragging down the league's image. That's when Adam Silver reportedly stepped in. He helped install Jerry Colangelo as a special advisor, an outside move meant to push Sam Hinkie out. Joel Embiid even later said it felt like a full-on intervention. From there, the theory connects Silver's anti-tanking agenda with a specific piece of strategic sabotage, the delay of the so-called double draft. For years, Silver talked about reversing the one-and-done rule, letting players go straight from high school again. By 2018, the timeline pointed toward a change happening around 2021 or 2022. That lined up with the draft the Sixers were watching closely, especially since they owned Miami's unprotected pick. Then Jimmy Butler made Miami competitive. The pick dropped in value, and the rule change suddenly didn't arrive on schedule. The theory says this wasn't a coincidence. Fans believe the NBA delayed the rule change to hurt Philly, letting them give up the pick thinking it would be high, only to shift the talent explosion to a future draft after that pick was gone. Silver's public push against tanking only adds weight. He supported lottery changes, publicly criticized losing strategies, and clearly saw the process as a problem. The timeline of rule proposals, draft delays, and Sixers asset movement is what fuels the suspicion. Put simply, believers think Silver didn't just hate tanking, he used league policy to dismantle the Sixers' rebuild. From Hinkie's forced exit to the manipulated draft environment, the theory says Philly was targeted to set an example. NBA keeps a secret blackball list. This theory focuses on players whose careers nosedived after public dissent, off-court activism, or image clashes with the league's carefully polished brand. Start with Mohamed Abdul-Rauf. Back in 1996, he refused to stand for the anthem, calling the flag a symbol of oppression. The league suspended him, and though he returned with a compromise, praying silently during the anthem, his career took a sharp downturn. He was traded that same year, and by 1999, he was out of the NBA completely. He says outright he was blackballed. Then there's Craig Hodges, a two-time three-point champion and member of the early 90s Bulls. He wore a dashiki to the White House and handed a letter to the president calling for racial justice. That was in 1991. He never played in the NBA again after 1992. For many, that's no coincidence. Enes Kanter is another modern example. He's been an outspoken critic of Turkey's president, and many believe his international political stance cost him his NBA standing. Despite being a productive player in recent years, he was waived and left unsigned. Fans say the league's business ties with Turkey may have played a role. Allen Iverson's case is murkier. He didn't take political stands, but his image, tattoos, cornrows, was disruptive for a league trying to clean up its look. His late career fade seemed too fast for someone that iconic. Fans wonder if the league was done with his brand. Supporters of the theory point to timing. Players who speak out about race, power, or governments tend to vanish fast. No scandal, just no more contracts. No press releases, just silence. And over time, it's looked like a pattern. I'm also going to do a full video on blackballed players soon, so you can sub if you want to see that. Thanks. Anyways, Luka to Dallas. That's the theory, and it starts with Dirk Nowitzki. By 2018, Dirk was entering his final NBA season after over 2 decades. As the face of the Mavericks and one of the league's most beloved international stars, the NBA needed a plan to maintain European fan engagement and keep Dallas relevant. Enter Luka. That draft night, Atlanta selected Luka with the 3rd pick, but within minutes, Dallas executed a trade to acquire him, swapping for the 5th pick and a future first-rounder. The theory says this wasn't just a smart basketball deal, it was orchestrated. According to believers, Adam Silver and the league saw an opportunity, replace one European icon with another and secure a seamless transition of international stardom. Luka was already a EuroLeague champion and MVP. His resume was stronger than any international prospect since Pau Gasol. His playstyle mirrored the modern NBA direction, and his marketability had global appeal. The theory claims the league nudged Dallas and Atlanta behind the scenes to ensure Luka ended up where Dirk had built his legacy, a smooth handoff of the European torch. Supporters also point to timing. Dirk announced his retirement shortly after Luka's debut season. The NBA didn't want a vacuum. They wanted continuity. Luka's arrival in Dallas gave the franchise instant identity and gave the league another European megastar, tied to a stable, mid-market team with an established international brand. The trade, the timing, and the narrative symmetry all keep the theory alive. One star leaves, another arrives, and the league never skips a beat. NBA suppressed the Boston Celtics in the early 1990s. It's built around the idea that the league had grown tired of Boston's dominance and was ready to usher in a new era without Red Auerbach calling the shots. By 1986, the Celtics had collected 16 championships, with Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, and Red running the show. But as those legends aged out, the league's attention shifted toward flashier teams like the Bulls, the Magic, and the Knicks. Red Auerbach didn't exactly help smooth things over. He famously said, "The league couldn't wait to shove it to us," accusing NBA leadership of being quick to turn their back on Boston. After ownership changes in the late 1980s, Auerbach lost power within the organization, and the theory says the NBA took that opportunity to move away from the old guard. Then came the draft lottery letdowns. Despite several bottom-tier finishes throughout the late 1980s and early 1990s, the Celtics never landed a number one pick. Believers argue this wasn't just bad luck. It was a deliberate move to keep Boston from rebuilding. Instead, lottery wins were steered toward newer, more marketable teams in bigger television markets. Larry Bird later added fuel, saying that David Stern wanted a Game 7 during the 1984 finals for the money. That admission suggested even Bird believed the league prioritized profit over fairness. So the theory says the Celtics weren't just victims of a rough rebuild, it was league-managed decline. Red got iced out, draft odds failed repeatedly, and the NBA pushed the spotlight elsewhere. The timing, the quotes, and the silence all keep the theory alive. Sonics were stolen. Clay Bennett bought the Seattle Supersonics in 2006 with a very public promise to try and keep the team in Seattle. Then almost immediately, he got caught in private emails saying the quiet part loud. They never planned to stay. Bennett and his partner, Aubrey McClendon, were already hoping to bring the team to Oklahoma City. McClendon even bragged about it publicly and ended up fined $250,000 by the league for doing exactly that. Then there was the vote, 28-2. That's how NBA owners lined up to approve the move in 2008. Only Dallas and Portland pushed back. Commissioner David Stern backed the relocation hard, pointing fingers at Seattle's arena and ignoring a real arena plan led by Steve Ballmer. Then Howard Schultz sued Bennett, saying he was lied to and manipulated, and the leaked emails made that case look solid. But out of nowhere, the lawsuit vanished. The NBA said Schultz had signed something stopping him from suing, and that was it. It was over. Oklahoma City somehow pulled together $120 million in public renovations almost instantly. Meanwhile, Seattle voters rejected funding, which didn't help. But then things got shady. Reports showed private calls, behind-the-scenes meetings, and even jet rides between officials. Stern wasn't subtle about his support, brushing off Seattle's objections and pressuring the mayor and a senator. The email, the timing, the one-sided public funding, the aggressive backing from the league, all of it created the belief that this wasn't just a normal move. It felt aligned, like the whole thing had been lined up behind the scenes from day one, with Seattle never having a real shot at keeping their team. Celtics blocked the Spurs. Boston sent Porzingis to Atlanta, and instead of getting a decent haul, they took George Niang and a second-round pick. That's one of the league's most skilled big men swapped for spare parts. It looked like a salary dump, but some think it was way more than that. Atlanta just got better, and that could mean their draft picks, owned by San Antonio, get a whole lot worse. The Spurs have Atlanta's unprotected first-round picks in 2025 and 2027, plus a pick swap in 2026. And they already stacked their roster with young talent, including back-to-back Rookies of the Year and a top draft slot this summer. They've got Wembanyama and a war chest of future stars lined up, unless those Hawks picks get pulled out from under them. Here's where it gets clever. If Atlanta plays just well enough, those Spurs picks slip out of lottery range. Mid-first rounders are still valuable, but not franchise changers. So boosting the Hawks now is a long-term block, and Boston's front office is known for this kind of move, playing a quiet long game with cap space, future picks, and contract control. Fans spotted the weak return, then connected the dots. The Hawks got stronger. The Spurs draft haul suddenly got weaker. And the team behind it all, the Celtics, who didn't need to make a flashy trade, They just needed to keep San Antonio from building a monster around Wembanyama. It's quiet, defense at the front office level. And if this theory's right, Boston didn't just save money, they might have saved the league from another super team. Harden's MVP was delayed. Back in 2016 to 17, James Harden had stats that jumped off the page. Around 29 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds per game. And his Rockets, 55 wins. But somehow, the award went to Russell Westbrook, whose team finished 6th in the West with 47 wins. Sure, he averaged a triple-double, but the conversation shifted away from impact and toward spectacle. Harden supporters said the media ran with the Westbrook narrative and never looked back. That's where the theory starts. Harden said it himself. They ran with the story. And in that season, the league had a perfect one. Westbrook bouncing back after Kevin Durant left him. It was emotional, dramatic, and heavily covered. The triple-double thing was rare, but plenty of analysts pointed out that Harden had just as strong a case, if not better. Now fast forward to 2017 to 18, Harden levels up again. 30 points a game, elite efficiency, and the Rockets top the league. Suddenly, it's his moment. He wins MVP, but now it feels too tidy. The league had already kept fans hooked through Westbrook's arc, and now they get the payoff of Harden's long-awaited recognition, right when the Rockets are going toe-to-toe with the Warriors. Marketing-wise, it works perfectly. 2 seasons, 2 heroes, 2 storylines. Harden might have deserved it the year before, but spacing it out made the league's product richer. The timing fed ratings, jersey sales, and endless talk shows. There's no smoking gun here, just a trail of perfect coincidences, enough for fans to believe the NBA stretched out the drama to keep people watching. And if that's true, it worked. NBA sold Ricky Rubio as the next Pistol Pete. Back in 2008, Rubio caught fire during the Beijing Olympics. He was 17 and already making no-look passes and flashy plays that had scouts tripping over each other with Pistol Pete comparisons. It didn't stop there. By 2009, he was showing up in global commercials before he even stepped on an NBA floor, alongside Derek Jeter, Roger Federer, and Tiger Woods. That's not marketing, that's a coronation. And it all felt very coordinated. The Spanish Pistol, Pete nickname, didn't come from nowhere. It showed up in pre-draft breakdowns, scouting reports, and YouTube reels. The highlights focused on flair over substance. Behind the back passes, circus assists. Everything short of dressing him in Maravich's jersey. The Timberwolves took him 5th overall. Not a coincidence. That pick fit right into the league's push to turn Rubio into a global ambassador. He had the face, the passes, and the Olympic resume, just not the jumper. Rubio didn't even show up until 2011. He stayed in Spone, contract drama and all. And once he got here, it was rough. Great passer, no doubt. But the guy couldn't shoot. His effective field goal percentage hovered around 40%. And when his rookie year finally had momentum, boom, major ACL tear. That whole carefully built Pistol Pete revival script just evaporated. But the signs were all there. Too much branding, too soon. Too many pre-league promotions. The media, the commercials, the draft slot, it didn't feel like hype. It felt like product rollout. When the performance didn't match, fans started wondering if the NBA created a story they couldn't finish. It looked like an experiment in nostalgia-fueled marketing that fizzled. Blazers hid Roy's medical truth. Brandon Roy's knees were falling apart, and that wasn't a mystery. He had no cartilage in either one. That's bone on bone. He even admitted it himself. Doctors warned him. This was serious, but the Blazers kept rolling him out there. Publicly, they brushed it off as soreness or routine maintenance. Meanwhile, his knees were collapsing. By 2010, Roy was already getting surgeries. In January 2011, he had both knees scoped, but the Blazers stayed upbeat, painting a picture of hope and recovery. Then, right at the start of the next season, he retires, just like that, at 27. Said his knees couldn't take it anymore. So how did it go from optimism to out of the league in under a year? That's where the theory picks up steam. The timeline is messy. Surgeries, pain, a comeback, and then poof, gone. No big warning, just sudden retirement. And yet behind the scenes, the damage was obvious. That makes people think the Blazers knew how bad it was but kept that part quiet. No lawsuits, no leaks, but the messaging was always soft, always protective. Roy wasn't just a player, he was the franchise's face. And ticket sales and TV deals. The theory says the Blazers shielded the full story. They kept the public focused on short-term hope, while the medical truth got buried under vague quotes and upbeat updates. Not because they didn't believe him, but because the brand mattered more. The money mattered more. And by the time they couldn't cover it anymore, Roy's knees had already ended his career. The story never matched the reality. That's why the theory still lingers. Uncle Dennis blacklisted. Back in 2019, when Kawhi Leonard hit free agency, things got weird. Teams weren't just talking contract numbers. They were dealing with Dennis Robertson, better known as Uncle Dennis, and his long list of extras. We're talking private planes, luxury housing, guaranteed endorsement deals, even whispers of part ownership. That's way beyond standard negotiation. And those kinds of demands? Straight up violations under league rules. So the NBA launched an investigation. No fines, no suspensions. But the probe itself sent a message. It meant teams were rattled enough to push the league for answers. And even without penalties, that kind of scrutiny doesn't go unnoticed. From that point on, the image of Uncle Dennis shifted from behind-the-scenes advisor to league-wide red flag. Executives started speaking anonymously, calling him hard to deal with. Masai Ujiri, the Raptors' general manager, publicly questioned how serious Kawhi's camp really was about staying. The Lakers reportedly walked away entirely, and all of this was just the sequel to what went down in San Antonio. Uncle Dennis was already clashing with Spurs leadership over medical decisions and rehab control. Even Bruce Bowen called him out for giving Kawhi bad advice. After all that, teams quietly stopped working with him directly. Not a formal ban, but a pattern, only talking through Kawhi's official agent, avoiding Dennis completely. He didn't disappear, he just became the guy nobody wanted to deal with. So here's the theory. Uncle Dennis got himself blacklisted, unofficially, not because of one thing, but because of all of it. Impossible demands, uncomfortable negotiations, and a history of control moves that left front offices spooked. There's no league memo, but you won't find many GMs dialing his number anymore. NBA extended the 2016 finals. When Cleveland fell behind 3-1, the next 2 games exploded in viewership. Game 6 pulled over 20 million eyes, and Game 7 peaked at 31 million. That is not a theory. That is ratings math, and it is the fuel behind claims that the league had every incentive to stretch the series as far as it could go. Game 6 was chaos. Golden State coach Steve Kerr called the officiating ridiculous. Steph Curry fouled out 6 calls, and at least half were shaky. He tossed his mouth guard, got ejected, and it all boiled over. Even neutral fans thought the whistles felt tight. The Warriors did not hold back either. Kerr and the players went public with their frustration, saying it did not feel like a fair fight. Then came the audio. Normally, referee mic feeds are available in some form, clean, edited, or bleeped. But in this case, silence. No confirmed footage, no post-game audio. That is where the theory picks up steam. Fans claim the NBA held it back. The league never confirmed anything, but the absence of that audio only made people talk more. Add in fan threads, full of testimonies about off-ball fouls and strange no-calls, and it felt like the officiating had a different set of rules that night. No official ever said it was rigged, no documents leaked. But the officiating was suspect. The timing was perfect, and the result? A Game 7 classic that delivered monster ratings. The NBA got exactly what it needed. Whether that is coincidence or coordination, that is the part fans still argue about. Imani Bates. Once labeled the next big thing, he had high school numbers that felt unreal, dropping nearly 30 a game as a freshman and then going off for over 32 a night as a sophomore. He wasn't just good, he was everywhere. Sports Illustrated even threw him on the cover like he was a lock for stardom. People were calling him a future #1 pick before he could vote. Then came Memphis. He was only 17, the youngest in Division I, but the numbers plummeted. Under 10 points a game, under 4 boards. And his shooting percentages didn't help. Injuries didn't either. A messed up finger and back pain pulled him out of rhythm. And just like that, the draft buzz started fading. At Eastern Michigan, he put up better numbers. 19 points, close to 6 boards, but the issues were still there. Shot selection, efficiency, all that stuff scouts love to pick apart. Plus, 2 suspensions. One tied to a gun charge that got dropped later. Didn't exactly help his image. He still got drafted, but late, 49th by Cleveland. A 2-way contract split his time between the Cavs and the G League. After 25 NBA games and a meniscus surgery, his future's still foggy. A 25-point game was a flash, but flashes don't build careers. LiAngelo Ball. Part of that wild Chino Hills team with his brothers, he was dropping bombs in high school, scoring over 30 a game as a senior, including monster nights, like 72 points. He led all of California in scoring and had games where defenders looked like furniture. That team went 35-0, crowned mythical champs, and the hype train left the station at full speed. But unlike his brothers, the path derailed fast. He was only a 3-star recruit, not even ranked in the top 200 nationally. He still signed with UCLA, but then the shoplifting incident in China happened. That arrest led to an indefinite suspension, and he withdrew from the school before ever playing a single official game. Declared for the draft in 2018, but he didn't hear his name. Not surprising at that point. He went to Lithuania and put up around 13 points a game but didn't really turn heads. Then came the Junior Basketball Association, where he dropped ridiculous stat lines, averaging over 52 points in some games, but the level of competition made it hard to take seriously. He signed a few training camp deals with Detroit and Charlotte, but never touched the floor in an actual NBA game. In the G League, he averaged under 5 points over 31 games. His short run in Mexico ended with an ankle injury. Now he's doing music, signed a $13 million deal, and dropped a song that went viral. Basketball, that chapter's done. Skal Labissière, once hyped as the next big man to dominate the league, he had scouts drooling with that frame. 6'10", with a 7'2" wingspan and soft shooting touch. He came out of high school averaging 26 points, 12 boards, and over 4 blocks. Top 2 in the country. People threw around Anthony Davis comparisons like it was nothing. Then came Kentucky. Expectations were sky high, and some even projected him as a top overall pick. But he faded fast. In 36 games, he averaged under 7 points and just 3 boards. He lost his starting spot, and even John Calipari called him a paper tiger. That edge they wanted, nowhere to be found. He still got drafted 28th overall in 2016, but not by a team. Banking on stardom, traded to Sacramento, he had a couple seasons averaging around 9 points a night, off the bench, but never built on it. After that, minutes dipped. He bounced from the Kings to the Trailblazers, then mostly disappeared from big league rotations. By 2025, he was stuck on 10-day contracts and G League rosters. He won a G League title, sure, but that unicorn label never came close to sticking. The talent was there, the growth, the toughness. The drive? Not enough. From possible top pick to bench filler and league floater, Skal showed flashes, but just didn't put it all together. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Mikey Williams. The hype around him in high school was wild. He averaged nearly 30 points a game as a freshman at San Ysidro and once dropped 77 in a single night. That game alone broke a San Diego section record and put him on the national radar. Add in over 5 million followers and the first ever high school Puma deal, and he looked like a lock for the league before turning 18, but it spiraled. He committed to Memphis, then everything came crashing after an arrest for firing a gun at a car. The charges were later reduced, and he got probation, but the damage was done. He never suited up for Memphis. After the legal drama, he transferred to UCF and finally saw the court, but not in the way fans hoped. At UCF, he averaged just over 5 points in limited minutes. Shooting percentages were shaky, and he never looked like the explosive scorer from his high school mixtapes. NBA scouts cooled off quickly. By the end of that season, he wasn't even talked about as a second-round pick. Then came the Sacramento State move. Sure, it's a fresh start, but it's a big drop in visibility. Even with Shaq and Mike Bibby around, it's a long climb back to relevance. From viral icon to bench scorer at a mid-major, Mikey's story went from hype machine to cautionary tale, and the NBA feels farther away than ever. Trevon Duval. He was the top point guard in his class and played for multiple powerhouse programs before landing at IMG Academy. Averaging over 16 points and 7 assists his senior year, he was a 5-star lock, running through high school defenses like a glitch in the system. Every major outlet had him listed at the top of the charts for floor generals. Then came Duke. He started most of the season, put up over 10 points and 5 assists a game, and looked comfortable sharing the floor with future pros. His passing was sharp, his speed obvious, but the three-point shot, not there, just under 30% from deep. He went one and done anyway, which backfired hard. He became the first Duke player to leave early and go undrafted. Milwaukee gave him a shot on a 2-way deal. It ended with 3 games played and less than 2 minutes per appearance. After getting waived, Houston picked him up but never used him. G League stints followed. Some bright moments, but nothing game-changing. Then came the World Tour, Dominican Republic, Canada, Turkey, Azerbaijan. The numbers hovered around 10 points and 4 assists, but the efficiency dropped. He shot under 35% from the field, barely above 17 from 3. The vision was always there, but the lack of growth and shooting cost him real NBA footing. From number 1 point guard to chasing overseas contracts, Duval's hype just never translated. Cliff Alexander. Coming out of Curie High School in Chicago, he was a beast, ranked top 5 nationally, even climbing as high as number 2 on some boards. He wasn't just dunking on kids. He was dropping triple-doubles with 30 points, 24 rebounds, and 15 blocks. He took home every major award, including Naismith Prep Player of the Year and Mr. Basketball USA. The comparisons to Amari weren't thrown around lightly. Then came Kansas. Expectations were huge. He was named Big 12 preseason co-freshman of the year before touching the court, but it didn't last. his season was cut short after just 28 games due to an NCAA eligibility investigation. Then, to top it off, he hurt his knee during pre-draft workouts. He went undrafted in 2015. Portland picked him up on a 2-year deal, but he only played 8 games, averaging just over a point. He bounced to the D-League, now the G-League, where he put up decent numbers with Erie and a few other teams, but nothing game-changing. A short 10-day deal with Brooklyn led to no minutes. He spent the next few years playing for teams all over the world: France, Germany, Korea, Lebanon, Venezuela. The skill set just didn't evolve. No jumper, no real post moves, and the athletic edge wasn't enough. From 5-star dominance to a global journeyman, Alexander's story is another reminder that raw power in high school doesn't guarantee NBA longevity. Julian Newman. He was lighting up varsity scoreboards in 5th grade, while most kids his age were still learning how to shoot on a 10-foot hoop. At just 4'5", he was putting up 12 points and 11 assists a game and made Florida's assist leaderboard. Then a highlight video exploded with millions of views, landing him everywhere, from Sports Illustrated to talk shows. By middle school, he was averaging nearly 20 points and 10 assists. At 13, he hit 1,000 varsity points. Then came the 52-point game at a national camp against top talent. It racked up over 13 million views and solidified his viral legend. In high school, the scoring never stopped. He totaled over 6,000 career points by graduation, ranking 4th all-time nationally. But the buzz didn't turn into scholarships. No Division I offers, none, just noise. The hype was louder than the skill set. He ended up at Bethesda University, a tiny NCAA school, not even NCAA. In his debut, he missed all 6 shots in a 109-23 loss. Through 3 games, he played under 12 minutes per contest and averaged 3 points while shooting under 17%. Size, skill development, and real competition caught up to him. 5'6" and 141 pounds doesn't go far when the defenders are taller, stronger, and faster. Julian was a walking mixtape. But when the music stopped, there wasn't much left. Viral fame, but no real path to the league. Harry Giles, the #1 recruit in his class, he looked like a future NBA star before he ever left high school. He was dominating at Wesleyan Christian and then moved to Oak Hill, putting up nearly 24 points and over 12 boards as a junior. But knee injuries hit hard, first as a sophomore, then a brutal ACL tear just before his senior season. That set the tone for everything that came after. He still committed to Duke, but his time there was forgettable. Missed the first semester recovering, then averaged under 4 points and 4 rebounds in just over 11 minutes a game. He only started 6 times. The flashes were there, but the motor and explosiveness weren't. After that short season, he declared for the draft anyway. Taken 20th overall and traded to Sacramento, he missed his entire rookie year recovering again. Over 2 seasons with the Kings, he averaged around 7 points and 4 rebounds, but never found consistency. After stints with the Blazers, Nets, and Lakers, the minutes got shorter and the impact smaller. He never started more than a handful of games in any season. Injuries kept piling up. Another ligament tear in 2022, and his path veered off. He bounced around G League teams and eventually signed with Shaanxi in China. He had the frame, the touch, and the early hype, but his body never let him catch up. What could have been elite turned into a long list of setbacks. 7th Woods, the mixtape legend who broke the internet at 14, dunking and dazzling in middle school like he was prepping for the league by sophomore year. That early hype crowned him the best 14-year-old in the country. He earned South Carolina Mr. Basketball honors, dropped nearly 19 points a game as a senior, and put up consistent numbers throughout high school. He won gold with Team USA and collected over 2,000 points before stepping onto a college court. Then came North Carolina. As a freshman, he played every game on a title-winning team, but the minutes were short and the numbers were lower, barely over 1 point and 1 assist per game. A stress fracture in year 2 stalled momentum, and by year 3, even with more court time, the impact remained small. After 3 years, he transferred to South Carolina, where he started 13 games and averaged just over 5 points. He used the extra COVID year at Morgan State, but still couldn't break out, under 5 points a game on sub 40% shooting. No NBA interest followed. In 2023, he signed in Ireland, scored 22 in the Cup final, won MVP, and added another stop in Ecuador in 2024. From mixtape phenom to overseas scorer, Wood's journey shows what happens when viral promise meets real-world depth charts, injuries, and pressure. The bounce was always there. The breakout never came. Quay Parker, he had a 45-inch vertical and dunks that turned him into a YouTube regular before he turned 18. Ranked as a 4-star recruit and placed in ESPN's Top 100 for the class of 2016. He committed to Tennessee with real expectations, not as a top scorer, but as the high flyer who could energize any gym. At Wesleyan Christian, he was known more for his viral highlight reels than his all-around game. But once he got to Tennessee, the buzz didn't follow him on the court. He played in 25 games as a freshman and only averaged 1 point per game in just over 8 minutes. A crowded backcourt didn't help. There were simply better guards ahead of him, and he wasn't the type to force his way into the offense. A 5-point game against East Tennessee State ended up being the peak of his time in Knoxville. After that, he moved down the ladder, first to Cape Fear Community College, then on to North Carolina A&T. He got more playing time, showed his athleticism, but the production never really popped. The shooting didn't improve, and scouts moved on. No G League buzz, no Summer League nods. Just the slow fade from viral phenom to forgotten name. Quay could dunk with the best of them, but the rest of the game never caught up. The highlights were loud, but the stat sheet stayed quiet. Cam Reddish, ranked 3rd in his class, Mr. Pennsylvania basketball, and part of that loaded Duke squad with Zion and RJ. The build was tailor-made for the league. 6'8", smooth handle, projectable shooting stroke. Coming into college, he looked like the prototype wing every team wanted. But at Duke, the production didn't match the promise. He averaged just over 13 points per game, shot under 36%, and disappeared in stretches. Injuries and passive play drew attention. Analysts called him raw, inconsistent, and lacking assertiveness. He still went 10th overall in the draft to Atlanta. His rookie year was his most productive, over 10 points per game in nearly 27 minutes. But he never broke through. The shooting never leveled up. The playmaking stayed flat, and he was always just one rotation mistake from getting yanked. His efficiency dipped, and so did his role. He bounced to the Knicks, where he never really fit, then Portland, where he showed brief flashes, then landed with the Lakers. In his final season there, he averaged just over 3 points and was waived in March. In 6 seasons, 4 teams, and over 250 games, he averaged 8.5 points on under 40% shooting. He had the tools. Everyone saw them, but no development curve ever really came. No consistent defense, no reliable scoring, and no clear fit. Reddish went from franchise hope to depth chart afterthought, and it happened fast. Josh Selby, once crowned the #1 player in the country by rivals, he averaged 32 points, 7 assists, and 5 boards in high school, and was the face of Lake Clifton in Baltimore. He had the bounce, the handle, and the shot, all wrapped in highlight reel buzz. He was a McDonald's All-American, won the dunk contest, and had the top programs chasing him. Kansas won out. Then came the eligibility mess. He was suspended 9 games for improper benefits tied to Carmelo Anthony's advisor. By the time he finally played, the rhythm was off. Across 26 games, he averaged just under 8 points with modest efficiency. A far cry from lottery-level dominance. Still, he entered the 2011 draft and fell to 49th overall. Memphis took a shot. He played 38 games, mostly in garbage time, and averaged barely over 2 points a night. Summer League gave a spark. He won co-MVP with Damian Lillard, but it didn't carry over. After that, it was a suitcase career. D-League stints with Reno, Canton, Maine, then a whirlwind of overseas stops. China, Croatia, Israel, Turkey, Korea, Argentina, New Zealand, Lithuania. He never found NBA traction again. Selby had elite prep numbers, but inconsistent college play and questions around his game kept him from sticking. From top recruit to global journeyman, his story shows just how fast hype can vanish. Jalen Hands. He was a 5-star recruit with serious flash, nearly 30 points a game in high school, highlight dunks, and a Ball-less Life dunk contest that helped launch him into the national spotlight. Ranked as one of the top 3-point guards in the class of 2017, he headed to UCLA with expectations riding high. As a freshman, he put up just under 10 points per game and came off the bench for part of the year. A foot injury slowed him, but the tools were still obvious: athleticism, bounce, and a developing jumper. By his sophomore season, he was the full-time starter, averaging over 14 points and leading the Pac-12 in assists. He earned second-team All-Pac-12 honors and looked ready for the next step. He declared for the 2019 draft and was picked 56th overall. Not exactly where 5-star talent aims to land. The Clippers traded his rights to Brooklyn, and then he bounced to the G League. With Long Island, he averaged 11 points, but never got the NBA call-up. Detroit eventually renounced his rights, and that was the end of that chapter. Since then, he's played in Serbia, Germany, Belgium, Greece, and now Italy. His numbers have been solid, especially in Greece, where he averaged nearly 14 points per game, but he never broke through as a consistent NBA-level guard. The tools were there, but the dominance never followed. Another case of early hype that fizzled before reaching the league. Thon Maker, once labeled the next unicorn, he exploded onto the scene as a 7-footer with a fluid handle, perimeter shot, and shot-blocking instincts. Born in South Sudan, in 1997, he moved through Australia and Canada, eventually averaging over 22 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 blocks in 53 games as a high school sophomore. He was named Virginia's Gatorade Player of the Year and carried a 5-star label throughout his prep career. He bypassed college altogether. Thanks to a rule loophole in academic qualifications, he entered the 2016 NBA draft straight out of prep school, making him the first high school player drafted in over a decade. Milwaukee took him 10th overall. Early flashes came in Summer League, where he averaged over 14 points and nearly 10 boards. But over 3 seasons with Milwaukee, he never truly clicked, putting up around 4 points and under 3 rebounds in limited minutes. He had a short stint in Detroit with a career best 5.5 points per game, then played 8 games with Cleveland before being waived. Post-NBA, he bounced around the globe: Jerusalem, China, Lebanon, and the G League again. He won titles and MVPs abroad, but never sniffed an NBA return. His physical tools were undeniable, but he lacked strength, offensive skill, and the development to handle NBA physicality. Thon had the mixtapes, the wingspan, and the intrigue, but never put it all together. He went from top 10 pick to international journeyman, fueled by hype, held back by the missing pieces. Nico Mannion, born in Siena, Italy, and raised in Arizona, he came into the spotlight early thanks to his basketball lineage and high school dominance. At Pinnacle High School, he averaged between 20 and 30 points per game and added around 6 assists. He earned McDonald's All-American honors and was considered the #1 point guard in the class of 2019. At Arizona, he started all 32 games in his freshman season and averaged 14 points, just over 5 assists, and nearly 3 rebounds. He shot under 40% from the field and just above 32% from deep. Despite some standout performances, including a game-winning double-double, questions about his shooting consistency and athleticism followed him into the draft. He was selected 48th overall by the Warriors in 2020 and signed a 2-way deal. In 30 games that season, he averaged 4 points, 2 assists, and 1 rebound, shooting just over 34%. In the G League, however, he excelled, posting over 19 points and nearly 7 assists across 9 games. Afterward, he took his talents overseas. In Italy, he helped Virtus Bologna win the Eurocup, later joining Baskonia in Spain, and then leading Varese with over 20 points per game. In 2024, he signed with Olimpia Milano. While his NBA stint was short-lived, Mannion's court vision and playmaking helped him become a top performer in Europe, carving out a steady pro career abroad. Marcus Levette. He exploded onto the scene as a freshman at Providence High School, averaging over 31 points per game with 6 40-point outings and 1 57-point explosion. The mixtapes followed fast. Ballast Life made him a household name in prep basketball circles. By his senior year at Morgan Park, he was still putting up big numbers: 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists per game, leading his team to the Class 3A state semifinals. He committed to St. John's as a consensus 4-star recruit and redshirted his first year due to academic qualification rules. When he finally hit the court, he looked the part, averaging nearly 16 points and close to 4 assists in 26 games. He earned Big East All-Rookie honors, but then came the left knee sprain. He tried to play through it, but eventually needed surgery and left the team mid-season in February to pursue a professional career. He went undrafted in 2019 and didn't receive a summer league invite. That was the biggest sign. Despite strong college production, he never touched an NBA roster. Instead, he headed to Serbia, putting up over 20 points per game. Then came stops in Turkey, Portugal, Finland, China. Solid production overseas, but nothing that brought him back to NBA radar. Injuries, timing, and a crowded guard market pushed him out. The talent was there, but the road got blocked, and his path shifted from NBA hopeful to international scorer. Scottie Hobson, a 5-star recruit in the class of 2008, he was ranked as the #2 shooting guard in the nation and top 5 overall by major outlets. He starred at the University of Tennessee, where he made an immediate impact, averaging just over 9 points as a freshman and finishing his junior year with 17 points per game while starting every contest. He was named first team All-SEC by league coaches and looked poised for an NBA future. But when the 2011 draft came, he wasn't selected. That was the turning point. Despite his SEC resume, he didn't hear his name. Instead, he went overseas. For first to Greece, then to Israel and Turkey, where he put up strong numbers, including nearly 18 points per game in Israel and over 15 in the EuroLeague with Anadolu Efes. In 2014, he signed late with Cleveland and finally made his NBA debut, but only played 2 games. Short stints followed with Charlotte, New Orleans, Houston, and Sacramento, but none stuck. His biggest domestic splash came with Sioux Falls in the G League, where he dropped 52 points in a single game. Hobson became a certified star overseas, especially in New Zealand and Australia. He averaged over 19 points for the Breakers, won a title with Melbourne, and earned all NBL honors. But even with 10-day NBA deals from Dallas and Oklahoma City, he played just 4 NBA games total. He had the scoring, the consistency, but the NBA never gave him a real runway. Kyrie Walker, the human highlight reel by age 14, the walking dunk tape by 15, and by 17, a 5-star phenom with the full menu of Power 5 offers. In his freshman year at Moreau Catholic, he averaged 31 points per game, racked up national awards, and became the Max Prep's National Freshman of the Year. By sophomore year, he transferred to Hillcrest Prep, landed in the top 5 nationally, and committed to Arizona State before backing off the pledge. Then came the fork in the road. Rather than go the NCAA route, he opted for Chameleon BX, an NBA pre-draft training program with no competition-level games. By the time the 2021 draft rolled around, he was largely invisible on the radar. No college stats, no pro tape, no summer league reps. Unsurprisingly, he went undrafted. He fought back, joining the G League's Capital City Go-Go, averaging a modest 7 points in 12 minutes per game. Overseas, he found more rhythm, 18 points per game in Greece, a CEBL title in Canada, and then Mongolia. Yes, Mongolia. Basketball's global now, but that's still not a great sign. Walker's story is clear. Early athletic dominance without developmental structure can leave even elite talents adrift. His path was paved with dunks and detours, but not a single NBA minute. Jordan McCabe. He was supposed to be the next wizard with a basketball. By 12, he'd already been on national TV, crossed up grown men for fun, and got drafted by the Harlem Globetrotters. That kind of spotlight burns hot, and it followed him through high school, where he dropped over 2,400 points and got crowned Wisconsin's Mr. Basketball. Scouts had him inside the top 100. Expectations were sky high. Then college happened. At West Virginia, things started okay. He had some flashy moments and even made the Big 12 academic team, but his scoring dipped every year, and his efficiency never got better. He couldn't get his shooting percentage out of the low 30s. By year 3, his role shrank hard. He transferred to UNLV, started strong in year 4 with decent assist numbers, but again, the scoring and efficiency weren't there. His 5th year barely cracked the starting lineup. Despite all that early noise, he never touched the NBA. Went undrafted, didn't even try the G League. Instead, he pivoted straight into coaching. And surprisingly, he's moved fast. West Virginia, then Green Bay, now Grand Canyon. So yeah, he didn't become the next Globetrotter star, but he's coaching college hoops before turning 30. Isaiah Washington. He was the face of New York hoops in 2017, and not just for his scoring. He helped create Jelly Fam, made finger rolls go viral, and pulled up to games like a mixtape on Fast Forward. At St. Raymond's, he averaged 26 points, dropped 54 in one night, and left as the school's all-time scoring leader. Everyone knew his name, and with 4 stars by his name, he committed to Minnesota with major expectations. His freshman season was decent, nearly 9 points a game, some flashy moments, and a Big Ten Freshman of the Week nod. Then it dipped. Sophomore year saw less scoring, more bent. He transferred to Iona, put up better numbers, even recorded a triple-double. By the time he landed at Long Beach State, he was putting up almost 14 points a night, with solid rebounding and assists. Still, no draft buzz. Undrafted in 2021, he didn't push for a G League spot. Instead, he went overseas. Montenegro, Slovakia, Germany, and now France. The numbers got better, especially in Slovakia, where he averaged over 24. But it's clear now, the NBA door never cracked open. Despite all the noise and flash in high school, his college path never had that breakout year. 3 different schools, some solid stats, but nothing explosive enough to push him into the league. Today, he's carved out a real career overseas. But the NBA hype never showed back up. Cassius Stanley. Coming out of Sierra Canyon, he had the rankings, the mixtapes, and the 5-star label. 17 points a night, highlight dunks, and enough bounce to keep gyms buzzing. He chose Duke, and that felt like a launch pad. He started 29 games there, shot nearly 47% from the field, and made the ACC All-Freshman team. But even then, scouts were already calling him raw. He entered the 2020 draft and got taken 54th overall by Indiana. Late second round is already an uphill battle. He landed a two-way deal, split time with the Pacers and Fort Wayne. 33 total NBA games that season, barely over 7 minutes per game, and shot under 24% from three. It just didn't stick. Detroit gave him a short run the next year, 9 games, a little more playing time, even started once. The numbers improved, but not enough. He bounced to the G League and stayed there most of the year. Then it was off to Israel, then back to the G League. Now he's in France with Le Portel. So yeah, he's still playing, still putting up numbers, but the NBA dream never really turned into more than a whisper. All the tools, the athleticism, the Duke spotlight, it just didn't translate. Cassius Stanley's still hooping, just not on the stage where he once looked destined to shine. Romeo Langford. He came out of Indiana with every box checked. McDonald's All-American, over 3,000 high school points, and ranked among the top 5 in the country. He averaged 30 a night as a senior and looked like a can't-miss wing. Indiana fans were all in when he stayed home for college. At Indiana, he didn't disappoint early. Started every game, dropped over 16 points per night, and even played through a torn thumb ligament. He was clearly talented, but some rough shooting stretches raised eyebrows. That didn't stop Boston from taking him 14th overall in the 2019 draft. Then came the NBA struggle. 3 years with the Celtics, and he never averaged more than 5 points. He had wrist surgery his rookie year, shot under 19% from deep that season, and just never became a reliable option. San Antonio gave him another shot. He got some starts, scored a bit more efficiently, but still didn't stand out. Utah picked him up next, but he didn't make it to opening night. He ended up in the G League, then France, and now he's a free agent. That top 5 high school buzz, it faded fast. He had size, athleticism, and a smooth game, but no consistent three-point shot, no elite skill to lean on, and the injuries didn't help. Romeo Langford's journey shows that not every lottery pick gets to stay in the league. Some just drift further away with each season. Zion Harmon. At 11, he was already being labeled the best 4th grader in the country. By 7th grade, he was suiting up on the Nike EYBL circuit, playing against high schoolers while most kids his age were still figuring out how to use deodorant. Then came 8th grade at Bowling Green High School, where he led his team to a state title and averaged nearly 17 points a game. That was just the beginning. As a freshman at Adair County, he dropped over 32 points per night and dished nearly 8 assists. The hype machine never let up. He transferred multiple times, bounced around schools, but still had blue blood offers and ranked as a 4-star recruit in the class of 2021. He started college at Bethune-Cookman, where he actually delivered almost 14 points per game, solid 3-point shooting, and SWAC Freshman of the Year honors. Then came the move to Seton Hall. It didn't go well, just 3 games, under 5 minutes a night, and not a single point. Now, he's back in the transfer portal. After all that early spotlight, the story shifted. From middle school phenom to college nomad, he's still looking for the right fit. Zion Harmon's journey proves that early fame means nothing without stability, development, and the right opportunity when it actually counts. Brian Bowen, he had all the early signs of being the next big thing. McDonald's All-American, co-MVP at the Jordan Brand Classic, and putting up over 20 points per game at La Lumiere while leading them to a national title. 5-star swingman, chased by schools like Michigan State, Arizona, and Louisville. He picked Louisville, and that's where it all started to fall apart. The FBI bribery scandal swept him into its mess before he ever stepped on the floor. Louisville shut him down. The NCAA gave him nothing but delays. And even after being cleared by the FBI, his college window was closed. He tried South Carolina, but red tape followed him, and he never played a college game. So he went pro, landed in Australia with the Sydney Kings. 6 points a game, decent shooting. Undrafted in 2019, but Indiana gave him a 2-way shot. He tore it up in the G League, averaging over 16 with Fort Wayne, but the NBA minutes never came. Another 2-way deal, then waived. He's been bouncing through the G League ever since. Minnesota's affiliate, then Cleveland, and now Stockton, where he just helped win a title. Solid wing size, decent shooter, good rebounder, but never became the breakout player his high school hype suggested. His career's still going, just not on the stage everyone thought he'd command. Chris Paul. It's like the playoffs have a personal vendetta against him. The guy stays healthy during the long, regular season grind, then the postseason hits, and his body just taps out. In 2015, it started with a hamstring strain. 2 years later, a broken hand at the worst possible time. Then 2018 came along. He hurt the same hamstring again, with the Rockets a win away from the finals. That pattern just won't quit. By the time he got to the Suns, it was a shoulder contusion, then groin tightness in back-to-back years. This isn't a one-off. It's a sequence that makes you think someone stuck a voodoo doll in his locker. And then there's the blown leads. He's the only player in league history to lose 4 series after going up 2-0. That includes the 2021 finals. Just frustrating. The whole thing has built a reputation that sticks, and fans haven't missed it. It's not just bad luck. At this point, it feels like he's playing under a dark cloud. Joel Embiid. This guy's career looks like it was scripted by someone who hates knees. He missed his first 2 seasons with a broken foot, then tore his meniscus after 31 games in year 3. By 23, he'd already racked up more missed games than some players do in a decade. Then came 2019. Kawhi hit that insane quadruple bounce dagger, while Embiid was playing through knee tendonitis and stomach issues. Toronto won the title. That shot goes the other way. Maybe the Sixers take it all. Fast forward to 2021, he tears his right meniscus mid-playoffs, keeps playing, carries them past Washington, then they collapse against Atlanta. Simmons vanishes offensively, and Embiid has 8 turnovers in the Game 7 loss. 2022, a thumb injury and an orbital fracture back-to-back. Misses 2 games against Miami, Sixers losing 6. 2023, he wins MVP, sprains his LCL, and disappears again in a Game 7 blowout. His star teammates, Butler, Simmons, Harden, either leave or crumble. And just when things might change, 2024 delivers another meniscus tear. One playoff run after another, it all unravels. No conference finals, no stability, just injury, drama, and blown chances. Derrick Rose. His game was pure speed and power, but that style put him in the defense's crosshairs, and his own knees paid the price. He tore his ACL in the playoffs in 2012 while leading the game in every category. That injury ended his MVP reign and kept him out for an entire year. When he came back, the other knee gave out with a torn meniscus in 2013. He returned again in 2015. Same knee, another tear. Then in 2017, the left knee broke down again. It was a cycle that crushed any shot at consistency. And it wasn't just the knees, his whole body joined in. Groin, back, ankle, toe. If you name a joint, it probably quit on him at some point. The timing was brutal too, always right when things were starting to look up. He only had 3 fully healthy seasons out of 16. By the time he retired in 2024, fans had stopped asking what he could do and started mourning what he couldn't. Every comeback felt like hope. Every injury felt like a punch. A career that once screamed greatness turned into a slow fade, shadowed by what could have been. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Elgin Baylor. He joined the league and immediately carried a collapsing franchise, averaging 25 points and 15 rebounds as a rookie. But despite his heroics, the Lakers were a revolving door of roster issues and bad management. Then came the endless finals losses. 8 trips, 8 defeats, 7 of them at the hands of Boston. In 1962, he dropped 61 in a finals game, still the record. But the series ended with a missed buzzer beater in Game 7 overtime. It didn't help that Baylor spent part of his prime flying from military base to NBA arenas on weekends. He still averaged 38 points in that playoff run. Imagine what he might have done with practice and rest. After that, injuries took over. A major knee injury in 1965 wrecked his explosiveness. He still put up 20 a night, but he wasn't the same monster. And just to twist the knife, he retired 9 games before the Lakers finally won it all in 1972. After carrying them for 12 seasons, he missed the 1 ring by weeks. No MVPs, no titles, overshadowed by teammates and rivals. His greatness always got buried under all the bad timing. Patrick Ewing. He had the size, the stats, the stardom, just not the timing. Even early in his career, ankle injuries took the edge off his explosiveness. Then in 1997, he tore wrist ligaments and needed surgery, missing the rest of that season. And just when the Knicks made their shocking finals run in 1999, Ewing tore his Achilles in warm-ups. He tried to play through it for a game, but that was it. He missed the entire finals, and New York lost. That stretch gave rise to the infamous Ewing theory, the idea that the Knicks were actually better without him. It stuck because in the playoffs without him, they went further. But it's not just that. In 1994, they made the finals, but lost in 5. And in the 1992 playoffs, he was playing through another ankle injury when they got knocked out by Chicago. The pattern's obvious. his biggest injuries always hit, just as the Knicks looked ready to break through. He was an 11-time All-Star, a Hall of Famer, a franchise pillar, but the rings never came. The guy did everything right, but fate showed up with the clipboard and crossed out champ Tracy McGrady. He started his career sitting, stuck behind veterans in Toronto, while Vince Carter exploded. By the time he broke out, the team was Carter's. So McGrady left in 2000, and the Raptors immediately made a playoff run without him. Then came Orlando, where he won 2 scoring titles, but got zero help. Grant Hill barely played, and the rest of the roster couldn't hold water. In 2003, he joked about making the second round after going up 3-1 on Detroit. Detroit won 3 straight, and McGrady never forgot it. Houston looked like a fix, pairing him with Yao Ming, but both guys kept getting hurt. Across 4 years, they only played 4 playoff games together. They blew leads to Dallas and Utah. In 2008, he led the team on a 22-game win streak, but Yao broke his foot before the playoffs. First round exit. Then in 2009, McGrady had surgery and watched from the bench as Houston finally made it to the second round. Later, he joined the Spurs, but never played a minute in their finals run. They lost in 7. He had the skill, but the timing was a disaster. Damian Lillard. In March 2025, he was sidelined by deep vein thrombosis in his calf, an issue rare enough to raise red flags by itself. Then just weeks later, he tore his left Achilles in the first quarter of Game 4 against Indiana. No contact, just bad luck. That ended his postseason right when things were heating up. The timing couldn't have been worse. It was brutal. Recover from a blood clot, only to snap the tendon that ends playoff dreams. And here's the kicker, he's not alone. Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum also tore their Achilles in the same postseason, all while wearing jersey number 0. Fans are calling it the Zero Curse. But Lillard's misfortune didn't start there. In 2021, he dropped 55 in a playoff game and still lost. Back in 2014, he played through separated ribs during a sweep. Add all that to the recent injuries, and the pattern's hard to ignore. Experts point to overuse and constant play. Fans call it cursed. Either way, the guy keeps giving everything, only to be stopped by something completely out of his control, again and again. Penny Hardaway, drafted 3rd, traded instantly, and then exploded in Orlando next to Shaq. By his second year, he was All-NBA first team, and the Magic made the finals. They were the youngest team to do it at the time. Then came the meltdown, a blown 20-point lead in Game 1, 4 missed free throws, a sweep, and a year later, Shaq bolts for Los Angeles. Penny's left, holding the dynasty that never was. In 1997, his left knee gave out, microfracture surgery. The next 5 seasons, never played more than 60 games. Then came Phoenix. The backcourt 2000 plan with Jason Kidd looked good, until Kidd broke his ankle, and Penny's knees did the rest. In 2000, he had surgery on the other knee too. After that, it was all downhill. He bounced from New York to Miami, never looking like the Penny who torched the league in the mid-90s. And to top it off, he nearly joined Duncan and Grant Hill in Orlando. But Hill's ankle exploded, Duncan stayed put, and Penny's body said no. He played in Jordan's era, lost his co-star, lost his knees, and lost the shot at rewriting the league. Every piece was there, except the time. Eddie Jones. Early on, he looked like a two-way star in the making. Then came the shoulder sprain in 1995, right after his rookie All-Star weekend. He missed 19 games, and the momentum just stopped. By the time he was back, the Lakers had started leaning toward Kobe Bryant. In March 1999, Jones was traded to Charlotte, right before the Lakers exploded into a dynasty. He went from starting on a rising team to watching them win without him. Then it happened again. Miami, 2005. Jones was their top three-point guy, and then came the trade. A year later, the Heat won a ring. Playoff time, he could score, but the numbers dropped when it counted. Swept in 98, swept again in 2001, and when he got another shot with Memphis, same story. Early exit. Even when his stats popped, his teams didn't. 14 points a night, all defense honors, a third team, all NBA nod, and no finals. No ring, no moment. It wasn't just the injuries or the trades, it was the way everything kept shifting just before he could be part of something big. Wrong time, wrong place. Every time. Greg Oden, first overall pick in 2007, billed as the next dominant big man, with defensive instincts that had scouts buzzing. At Ohio State, he led a title run with a broken wrist on his shooting hand. That's how much potential he had. Portland took him over Kevin Durant, hoping for their next franchise anchor. Sound familiar? That was deja vu from when they picked Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan. Oden never got a rookie season. Microfracture surgery wiped out year 1. Then in his NBA debut, he sprained his foot and left in the first quarter. It never got better. A fractured patella ended one season. Then came another microfracture, this time on the other knee. He played only 82 games across 4 years. Never saw a playoff game. The Blazers, they were cursed too. Brandon Roy's knees gave out, and the rebuild built around Roy, Oden, and Aldridge fell apart. Oden tried to come back with Miami in 2013, 23 games, barely 9 minutes a night. That was it. By 26, he was done. Drafted to be a cornerstone, he ended up a cautionary tale. His knees simply refused to let the story play out. Landry Shamet. From 2019 to 2022, his teams lost 4 straight second-round series, all in Game 7. In 2019, he hurt his ankle in the first quarter of Game 7 against Denver and didn't return. The Clippers lost by 15. A year later, same team, same round, same result. Another Game 7 loss to Denver. In 2021, he was with the Nets. They lost Game 7 of the second round to the Bucks in overtime. Then in 2022, he joined the Suns. They collapsed in Game 7 against Dallas in one of the worst home losses ever. 4 years, 4 teams, 4 Game 7 second round eliminations. That's not coincidence. Fans started calling it a curse. Deadspin said it was like a holiday. He didn't miss the playoffs. He just left early in identical fashion. Then finally, in 2025, the Knicks snapped it. They beat Boston in the second round, and Landry was finally free. That streak might be over, but for 4 years, his postseason fate was written in stone. Right team, wrong time, and always stuck one win away from moving forward. Zion Williamson. He was the #1 pick in 2019, hyped as the franchise savior after Anthony Davis left. But before the season even started, he tore his meniscus, missed the first 44 games of his rookie year. And when he finally debuted, he was on strict burst limits that made it impossible to build rhythm. The season ended in the Orlando bubble. Zion out of shape, playing short shifts, and the Pelicans collapsed. In year 2, he stayed mostly healthy, averaging 27 points and shooting over 60%. Then he fractured his foot in the offseason, and the team didn't even tell the public right away. He missed the entire 2022 season. Weight rumors exploded. The Pelicans made the playoffs without him. In 2023, he started strong again. 26 points per game on 60% shooting. Then a hamstring tear shut him down in January. He never came back. Even as the team dropped from first in the West to losing the play-in, Zion said he was physically ready, but not mentally there. 5 years in, he's missed 59% of his games and never played in a single playoff matchup. Eric Dampier. In 2006, he started for the Mavericks as they jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the finals against Miami. Things looked set until the Heat won 4 straight and took the title. Dampier was on the floor as Dallas let it slip. 5 years later, he switched sides and signed with Miami. And in 2011, the same 2 teams met again in the final. This time, Dampier was with the Heat, playing a reserve role. The result? Another 4-2 series loss, this time with Dallas celebrating. He didn't play a single finals game that year, but he was on the roster, stuck watching the same script from the other bench. So let's recap. He lost to the same team in the finals twice, once as their teammate and once as their opponent. Never got a ring, never got revenge, just mirrored heartbreak from both angles. He might be the only player in league history to switch sides in a finals rivalry and still lose both times. Not quite cursed like the legends, but enough to make you feel like the basketball gods gave him a personal subplot with no happy ending. Markelle Fultz, drafted #1 in 2017, after a dominant season at Washington, he was supposed to be Philly's final piece. They even traded up to get him. But before the regular season began, his shot vanished. Literally, free throws turned into push shots. His form looked broken. He played just 14 games, missed nearly everything from deep, and was shut down with shoulder soreness. A year later, he was diagnosed with thoracic outlet syndrome, a rare nerve disorder that affects shoulder and arm control. That explained the weird mechanics, but it didn't fix his future. The Sixers gave up, traded him to Orlando for a protected pick. In 2020, he started showing flashes again. Then, 8 games into the next season, he tore his ACL. Gone again. Meanwhile, the Sixers moved on with Tyrese Maxey, Ben Simmons, and James Harden. Jason Tatum, the guy they passed on, turned into a star. Fultz, on the other hand, has never played more than 72 games in a season. No playoff wins. 11 points a game for a guy who once looked like a franchise lock. Every comeback got derailed. Every step forward followed by another crash. Andrew Bynum. In 2008, he dislocated his kneecap midway through the season. That knocked him out of the finals, where the Lakers fell to Boston. The next year, he tore his MCL colliding with Kobe Bryant. He returned in time for the finals, but was limited, braced up, and nowhere near full speed. The Lakers still won, but his impact was muted. Then in 2010, he tore his meniscus before the finals and played through it. His knee swelled badly after Game 6, and while he finished the series, it was clear he was barely moving. Another title, but another injury. A few weeks later, he had surgery. That offseason vanished, and his following year was riddled with setbacks. He never fully recovered. By 2012, he was traded to the Sixers and never played a single game for them. His knees just gave up. Brief runs with the Cavaliers and Pacers led nowhere. He had 2 rings, but spent nearly every playoff run hurt or recovering. His injuries always hit right before the biggest games, and every time he played through them, things got worse. What started as franchise centerpiece turned into a cautionary tale. DeMarcus Cousins, drafted 5th in 2010. He lit up box scores in Sacramento while the franchise unraveled around him. 4-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, 0 playoff games with the Kings, 6 head coaches in 7 seasons, and then they traded him while he was literally sitting at his All-Star press conference. The next year, they drafted De'Aaron Fox and started turning things around. Timing? Brutal. In New Orleans, he and Anthony Davis were torching defenses until January 2018. Then came the Achilles tear. Cousins was averaging 25, 13, and 5. The Pelicans made the playoffs without him. He didn't play a single postseason game. He signed with Golden State in 2018, hoping to rehab and win a ring, then tore his quad in the first round, came back in the finals, limping through Toronto's victory parade. A year later, he tore his ACL before playing a single game for the Lakers. They won the title without him. No ring. He bounced around. Houston, Milwaukee, Denver. Good per minute numbers, but never stuck. By 32, he was out of the league. All-time talent, Hall of Fame level production, and yet no playoff wins, no ring. Just a timeline full of wreckage. Anderson Varejao. In 2015, he tore his Achilles midseason and missed the entire finals, where Cleveland lost in 6 games. A year later, he signed with the Warriors, just in time to be part of the most famous collapse in finals history. Golden State blew a 3-1 lead, and he was suddenly on the wrong end of back-to-back finals with 2 different teams. That's a first in league history. No one else has lost to their former team in consecutive finals. But it wasn't just the finals. His career was a constant loop of mistimed injuries. From 2009 to 2014, he averaged around 40 missed games a year. In 2011, he tore a tendon in his foot. In 2013, a blood clot ended his season. Then came the Achilles in 2014. Every time the Cavs were building something, his body tapped out. Even when healthy, the timing refused to cooperate. He was on 2 finals rosters. He never won a ring, missed the peak moments in Cleveland, then watched Golden State fall apart from the bench. 2 years, 2 near misses, and one of the strangest finals resumes you'll ever find, Grant Hill. He came into the league like a future MVP, rookie all-star, led the league in all-star votes, and put up numbers that hadn't been seen since Larry Bird. From 1995 to 2000, he averaged 21 points, nearly 8 boards, and over 6 assists. But Detroit gave him nothing. No real help, no second-round trips, and constant heavy lifting. Then he signed with Orlando in 2000. That's when the curse hit. He re-aggravated an ankle injury, had surgery, and instead of healing, his career broke apart. From 2000 to 2004, he played just 47 games. He needed 8 surgeries. One led to a staph infection that nearly killed him. Meanwhile, Tracy McGrady turned into a superstar while Hill sat on the sideline. The two were supposed to rule the East. Hill never got the chance. Later, Phoenix gave him a second life. He became a respected role player into his late 30s. But the prime years were gone. Missed over 400 games. Never made it past the second round. No finals. No MVP. Just a Hall of Fame talent, dismantled by medicine, timing, and the cruelest kind of bad luck. Charles Barkley. In 1993, he led the Suns to 62 wins and pushed Phoenix to the finals for the first time in 17 years. He dropped a triple-double in Game 4, but it didn't matter. Jordan's Bulls won in 6. Barkley later said he was so devastated he couldn't sleep. Then came the injuries. A torn quad in 1994, nagging problems in 95 and 96. Every year the Suns got close, but it always ended in 7-game heartbreak, usually against Houston. So in 1996, he was traded to the Rockets. Hakeem, Drexler, Barkley, a super team. In theory, in reality, it fizzled. One trip to the Western Conference Finals, no finals appearances. And in 1999, he tore his quad again, ending his career. 1 finals run, 0 rings. He finished with 11 All-Star selections, an MVP, and one of the most unique careers ever. Dominant stats, unforgettable presence, and always a little too late, a little too banged up, or facing Jordan. That's the Barkley curse. All the tools, none of the timing, and a legacy built just inches from the finish line. Yao Ming, drafted first overall in 2002, he became a global icon before he even played an NBA game. By his second season, he was a perennial all-star. putting up 25 points and nearly 10 rebounds a night during his prime. He had footwork, touch, range, all in a 7'6" frame, but that size became his undoing. In 2006, he broke his foot. In 2007, he fractured his leg. In 2008, another stress fracture took him out before the Olympics in Beijing. Then came 2009. He was dominating the Lakers in the second round until another fracture in his left foot ended his playoffs, and eventually his career. He missed the entire next season. In 2010, he tried to come back, but lasted just 5 games before suffering another fracture. That was it. He retired at age 30, having played only 486 games. He and Tracy McGrady never got through a full playoff series together. Houston moved on with Harden, but Yao never got that chance. His skill was never the problem. His body just wouldn't let the story finish. A legend whose ceiling was cut off by physics. Karl Malone, he's second all-time in scoring, a 2-time MVP, and made the playoffs in 19 straight seasons. But there's one number that always sticks: 0 championships. In 1997, Malone and the Utah Jazz reached the NBA Finals for the first time. Despite winning the MVP that season, Malone missed crucial free throws in Game 1, and the Jazz eventually lost in 6 games to Michael Jordan's Bulls. In 1998, they got a rematch, but the story stayed the same. In Game 6, with the Jazz up late, Jordan stole the ball from Malone in the post, hit the game winner, and sealed back-to-back heartbreaks. In 2004, at age 40, Malone took one last shot at a ring by joining the Los Angeles Lakers. Alongside Kobe Bryant, Shaq, and Gary Payton, they reached the finals. But Malone sprained his knee. He played limited minutes in Games 3 and 4, then missed Game 5 entirely. The Pistons closed the series, 4-1. 3 finals, 3 losses, critical missed shots, dynastic roadblocks, and untimely injuries. Malone delivered nightly for nearly 2 decades, just never in June. That's the curse. All-time production, forever, one step short. Bill Walton. The guy had the skill, the vision, and the basketball IQ to dominate for a decade, but his body just couldn't keep up. At UCLA, he was nearly unbeatable, winning 2 national championships and getting named the best college player 3 years straight. Then the pros came calling, and Portland picked him first overall. And right away, the injuries showed up like uninvited guests who refused to leave. In his first 4 seasons, Walton never got through more than 65 games, and he racked up a list of injuries like a grocery receipt. Broken wrists, ankle issues, foot fractures, even spinal problems. Still, in 1977, he pulled off one of the most impressive playoff runs ever, leading the Blazers to a title and snagging Finals MVP. But it didn't last. The next season, he won League MVP, only to go down again with another foot fracture. He left Portland after accusing the team of mishandling his injuries. Then came San Diego, where he missed over 80% of the games during a 5-year span. 30 surgeries later, he made a brief return with Boston, won 6th Man of the Year, and grabbed one last ring. Then his body gave out again. George Hill. His career always felt like it was about to take off, and then something knocked it off course. Injuries showed up at the worst times. Left groin soreness in 2019, shoulder sprains, hamstring tweaks, back spasms, none of them career-ending, but all just enough to derail momentum. That playoff push with Milwaukee in 2019 slowed down. That finals run with Cleveland in 2018, he missed early games and barely contributed in the last ones, all while dealing with back pain. The other pattern? Constant trades. San Antonio, Indiana, Utah, Sacramento, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Oklahoma City, Philadelphia, Milwaukee again, and Indiana again. Every time he started building rhythm, another team shuffled him out. Just when things looked good, he got moved, like when the Pacers broke up that contending squad after 2014, or when Milwaukee traded him after his injury recovery. Then there's the role fluctuation. One night, he's a starting point guard. Next week, he's barely seeing the court. No real villain here, just rough timing. A few injuries, a few missed moments, some poor luck. It's not a curse in the dramatic sense. But man, George Hill always seemed one healthy stretch away from something bigger. Dominique Wilkins. The man came into the league on fire, traded to Atlanta before even playing a game, and then he just started dropping buckets like it was his job, because it was. From the mid-'80s to early 90s, he averaged over 28 points a game, even leading the league in scoring one year. But despite 9 All-Star selections and all those All-NBA nods, he lived in the shadows of Jordan, Bird, and Magic. No matter how dominant he was, he couldn't break through that top tier in MVP voting. His Hawks teams, always solid, never spectacular. They made the playoffs 9 times, but couldn't break into the conference finals. They kept running into the Celtics or Pistons, teams that had the defense and the luck to edge them out. That Game 7 in 1988 against Boston, he scored 47 and lost. That stung. Then in 92, his Achilles popped while he was still dropping over 28 a game. He came back and put up nearly 30 a night again, which is unreal, but the bounce wasn't the same. Then in 1994, Atlanta had the best record in the East and traded him. Just like that, his title window slammed shut. Wesley Matthews. Back in 2015, Portland looked dangerous. They were 30-11, rolling through the West, and Matthews was right in the middle of it, starting every night, locking up on defense, and hitting threes like it was clockwork. Then came March 5th, one bad step, and his left Achilles snapped. It ended a 250-game streak and cut Portland's legs out from under them. That season crashed fast, and so did his career trajectory. After that, it was injury whack-a-mole. Calf strain here, toe sprain there, hips, hamstrings. The whole lower body turned into a ticking time bomb. It felt like every time he got his footing, something yanked it out again. Then came the bouncing. Mavericks, to Knicks, to Pacers, to Bucks, to Lakers, to Bucks again, then Atlanta. No rhythm, no continuity, just endless new zip codes. Before the Achilles tear, he was a double-digit playoff scorer. After, reduced minutes, smaller roles, scattered production. He kept grinding, never stopped hustling, but his game shrank with every step. It's not just one injury that wrecked it, it's the constant disruption. Right place, wrong time, over and over. If there's a curse, it's that Matthews never had the clean runway to show how high he really could have flown. James Harden. You don't put up 30-point seasons like it's nothing, win an MVP, and carry teams, night after night, without being elite. But for all his regular season dominance, the playoffs have been a string of heartbreaks, collapses, and timing disasters. Back in 2012, he helped Oklahoma City reach the finals, then got traded to Houston before the team could grow into its potential. With the Rockets, he became unstoppable, led the league in scoring, broke efficiency records, and dragged that franchise into title conversation. Then came the falls. In 2015, 13 turnovers against Golden State in the conference finals. In 2017, a disappearing act against San Antonio, with Kawhi sitting out. 2018, that was the shot, up 3-2 against the Durant Warriors. Then Chris Paul's hamstring gave out, and Houston missed 27 straight threes in Game 7. You can't script it worse. Then he forced out of Houston, joined Brooklyn's super trio, and tore his hamstring 43 seconds into Game 1. He limped through the series, and the Nets went down in overtime. 2 trades later, he landed in Philly, blew another lead against Boston, then ended up in Los Angeles, where the Clippers lost again. Always one step from glory, then something breaks. Reggie Miller. The guy made his name torching the Knicks in the mid-90s, dropping 8 points in 9 seconds and flashing that iconic choke sign at the Garden like he owned the place. And Knicks fans, they've never let it go. Even today, you'll see that gesture pop up every time New York blows a lead. TikTok, Facebook, memes, it's all part of the lore now. But the irony, for all of Miller's swagger, he never made it to the NBA Finals. The Pacers had their shots. In 1994, they were up 3-2 on the Knicks in the East Final. Game 7, chance to go through, and Miller airballed it. Same story in 1998, 1999, 2000, and again in 2004. Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Detroit, they all slammed the door on Indiana. And each time, the Clutch King walked off empty. The legend stuck, not because he failed alone, but because he talked big and never brought home a title. The choke sign, it's famous now, but fans flipped it on him. That's what makes the curse different. It's about reputation. No blown knee, no trade drama, just a career full of bold moments and brutal timing. Gordon Hayward. In Utah, he looked like the perfect modern wing. 20-plus points a night, solid defense, smart playmaking, and finally made the All-Star team in 2017. Then he took that big leap, signed with Boston, and 5 minutes into his first game, his ankle folds the wrong way, and his tibia breaks. The replay was so bad, the network stopped showing it. That injury didn't just end his season, it wrecked the entire next chapter of his career. He came back the next year, but he wasn't the same. No burst, shaky confidence, lost in the rotation behind younger stars like Tatum and Brown. Then in 2020, just as he looked like himself again, he rolled his ankle in the first playoff game and spent a month out. By the time he returned, Boston was in the Eastern Finals, and he wasn't really a factor. Next stop, Charlotte. Big contract, new start, same story. Every year brought another setback. Foot, ankle, shoulder, you name it. Never healthy for more than 50 games. And every time his teams were ready to make a push, he was in street clothes. That's not just bad luck. That's a career haunted by brutal timing and injuries that never let go. Jay Crowder, drafted by Cleveland, traded before playing a game. In Dallas, he he barely cracked the rotation, then got shipped out in a failed Rajon Rondo deal. He finally broke out in Boston, locking up on defense, hitting threes, doing the dirty work, and still, his name was always swirling in trade rumors. In 2017, he got dealt in the Kyrie trade, landing on a Cleveland team that didn't need his skill set. That same Celtics team, they nearly beat LeBron's Cavs without him. Cleveland didn't fit. He was misused, benched, inefficient, traded again to Utah, solid minutes, but no title shot there. Finally, in 2020, Miami made a run. Crowder started every game and helped push them to the finals. Then injuries hit and the Lakers rolled through. The next year, Phoenix, another finals run, another loss, this time to Milwaukee, with Giannis going nuclear. In 2022, he helped Phoenix win 64 games, then got benched over contract drama, sat out the season, traded to Milwaukee. The Bucks collapsed in round 1, and Crowder played 18 minutes total. That's the curse. Never injured, always involved, and somehow always just one stop short of the ring. Thibs left Rose in the game. Derrick Rose put up a near triple-double with 23 points, 9 assists, and 9 boards. The Bulls had a nice lead, yet he was still in deep into Game 1 even though Chicago was already up by 12 with just under 90 seconds left. He'd already logged 37 minutes. That's not a light load, especially for someone with his injury history. Then it happened. Rose landed awkwardly in the paint and immediately grabbed his left knee. Everyone could tell it wasn't just a tweak, a torn ACL. Just like that, the Bulls' top-seeded playoff push turned into a nightmare. Rose missed the rest of that postseason and the entire next year. They lost the series 4-2. And just like that, the dream season unraveled. Now here's the thing. Thibs never really backed down from the decision. His whole stance was that the score had started to shift, and he wasn't going to coach in reverse. Chicago's general manager backed him up too, saying it's the playoffs, and they were just trying to secure the win. But critics weren't having it. Keeping Rose in with the game basically sealed, that became a symbol of Thibs' approach. Ride the starters until the wheels fall off. People even gave it a name, Thibs Minutes Syndrome. This wasn't just one bad break. It set off years of physical setbacks for Rose, including multiple knee issues. The Bulls went from first in the East to out in the first round, and the defense-heavy, grinded-out team never quite bounced back. It wasn't just a bad decision. It became one of the most infamous coaching calls in modern NBA history. Stan Van Gundy versus Dwight Howard. This one turned into a reality show without the editing. Things started strong when Stan took over in 2007 and helped push the Magic to the finals by 2009. Dwight Howard was dominating on both ends, winning 3 straight Defensive Player of the Year awards and making Orlando a real contender in the East. But by the shortened 2011 to 2012 season, everything was cracking. Howard wanted out, then stayed, then kept pushing for a trade anyway. Behind the scenes, he reportedly asked for Van Gundy to be fired. The timing of that request got messy, but the most unforgettable moment came on April 5th. Stan sat down with the media and flat out said management told him Howard wanted him gone. No hesitation. Then, with absolute sitcom timing, Dwight walked over, smiled, and threw an arm around him, all while denying it in front of everyone. The mismatch between their statements turned into one of the most awkward NBA press moments ever. After that disaster, things spiraled. Trust disappeared. Players took sides, and the locker room felt like a divided cafeteria. The team dumped both Van Gundy and general manager Otis Smith by late May. A few months later, Howard was shipped to the Lakers. The collapse wasn't just internal. The Magic quickly dropped out of playoff relevance. That press conference wasn't just uncomfortable. It became the face of modern coach-player dysfunction. It showed what happens when a star player's influence outweighs the coach's authority, and it all unraveled on national television. You can't plan a moment that cringeworthy. And no, the hug didn't help. It made it legendary for all the wrong reasons. Pop benched Duncan in Game 6. San Antonio was right on the doorstep. They were up by 10 heading into the fourth quarter of Game 6, just minutes from winning the title. That's when Pop made the move that still sparks debates. He sat Tim Duncan to go with a quicker, smaller lineup, intended to defend the three-point line better and keep pace with Miami's floor spacing. It wasn't a random gamble. The Heat had Ray Allen lurking, and Pop wanted faster rotations to close out on shooters. Manu Ginobili even backed it, saying there were good reasons behind the choice. But in that closing stretch, it didn't go as planned. With Duncan on the bench, Chris Bosh grabbed a missed rebound and kicked it out to Ray Allen, who hit that iconic shot to tie the game with just over 5 seconds left. The Spurs had no timeouts left. Miami got to regroup while officials reviewed the play, and in overtime, the Heat pulled out the win, 103-100. Then they took Game 7 too, sealing the title. Stat-wise, Duncan had 0 points in the fourth quarter, and the Spurs were ice cold from deep. Meanwhile, the Heat shot over 65% and completely erased the lead. Some analysts went in hard on Pop, saying he cost the game by benching Duncan and not stopping the clock. But the strategy itself wasn't wild. It made sense on paper. Defend the perimeter, switch everything, limit open threes. The problem was how it played out. One decision created a tiny gap, and Miami made them pay. So while the logic held up, the result turned it into one of the most painful coaching what-ifs in NBA history. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Boylen called timeout, down 25. The Bulls were trailing by 25 points with just over a minute left. The game was already over, but Jim Boylen decided it was the perfect time to call a timeout. He said he wanted to run a play for his second unit, specifically for a player from the G League who hadn't had much coaching in after timeout sets. That's what he claimed anyway. Zach LaVine didn't exactly cheer him on. He shook his head on the bench and looked completely baffled. This wasn't even the only time it happened. Against Phoenix, while down 10 late, LaVine was caught saying, "Why would we call a timeout down 10? When asked later, he responded with, "That's what he does. I'm not the coach." The Raptors broadcast team was not subtle about it. Jack Armstrong, clearly ready to go home, questioned the need for strategy in a game that was already done. Even the fans started booing. This timeout wasn't about strategy. It felt more like theater. And the thing is, Boylen made this kind of move more than once. He did the same in losses to Orlando, Dallas, Portland, and others. Always trailing by a mile, always calling timeouts like something magical might happen. It turned into a pattern that made Bulls games even more frustrating to watch. Sure, he said it was about development, but when the players are annoyed, the fans are booing, and broadcasters are openly mocking it, the message isn't getting through. This wasn't one mistake. It was part of a bizarre habit that came to define Boylen's tenure. Down 25 with 1 minute left and calling timeout, that's not teaching. That's just baffling. Thibs subbed in Frank. With less than 1 second left in Game 1 against Atlanta, the Knicks were clinging to a 1-point lead. That's when Thibs made the call. He threw in Frank Ntilikina, who hadn't played all night. The assignment? Guard Trae Young, who already had 32 points and 10 assists. Frank hadn't been in the rotation. He'd barely touched the floor. But suddenly, there he was, asked to contain one of the league's quickest guards with the game on the line. It went about how you'd expect. Young blew past him off the dribble, got into the paint, and dropped the game winner to silence Madison Square Garden. Critics didn't need much time to jump on that decision. Subbing in a cold player who had no rhythm, no feel, and no momentum was always going to be a gamble. Thibs' defenders might argue it was a fresh legs move, or maybe part of a pre-planned late-game defensive scheme, but none of that really held weight. After the result, Frank had no chance. The footwork wasn't there, and Young exploited the gap instantly. With less than a second left, every decision counts. And putting your coldest defender on the hottest scorer didn't make much sense. The rest of the series got away from the Knicks after that. Game 1 was a heartbreaker, and that sub became the moment fans pointed back to. Trae Young wasn't just dominant that night. He also got a coaching assist from Thibs. It's one of those choices that looks calculated on paper, but collapses when the lights come on. The risk backfired, and it left the Knicks stunned in their own building. Mark Jackson banned staff from practice. During the 2013 to 2014 season, the Warriors hit 51 wins and looked like a rising force. But off the court, things were unraveling fast. Mark Jackson made a series of choices that fractured the team's internal structure, starting with the reassignment of assistant Brian Scalabrine to the D-League. The stated reason? Philosophical differences. Then it got weirder. Darren Erman, another assistant, was fired for secretly recording conversation. And around the same time, Jackson started excluding people from practices. People like longtime advisor Jerry West and even television analyst Jim Barnett. He reportedly told a younger staffer to stop rebounding for players. These weren't subtle shifts. They were direct moves to keep control. Instead of building cohesion, Jackson's choices created a toxic environment. Publicly, he said hiring those assistants was the problem. Privately, reports pointed to a paranoid atmosphere with fractured loyalty and staff walking on eggshells. Jackson didn't just lose assistants, he lost the trust of the front office. Asking Jerry West to stay away from practice, that signaled a total breakdown between coaching and management. Warriors owner Joe Lacob later said Jackson couldn't get along with anyone. Not a great look for someone leading a playoff team. The front office had seen enough. After another postseason exit, the Warriors fired Jackson in May. It wasn't about wins. It was about the dysfunction behind closed doors. Jackson's insistence on isolation, his distrust of staff, and removal of key voices turned a promising season into a cautionary tale. And it all started with locking the doors on his own people. Point guard Giannis. During the 2015 to 2016 season, the Bucks gave Giannis the keys. Jason Kidd called it a bold new direction. Giannis was going to be their point guard, not just a point forward in spots, but a full-time floor general. By 2016, he was starting at the 1. And sure, it sounded like innovation, but what it turned into was confusion. The problem wasn't Giannis himself. He's a physical nightmare. But running the offense, that came with problems. The Bucks looked disjointed. Spacing collapsed. Lineups with him at the point looked flashy in bursts, but they struggled in the half court and stalled under pressure. Despite some positive net ratings in select combinations, the offense often turned into Giannis, barreling toward the rim with limited options. By stripping away a real point guard, they put too much creative responsibility on someone who wasn't wired to be a full-time playmaker. The result? Turnovers went up, ball movement slowed, and Milwaukee fell short when it mattered. He couldn't create consistent shots for others the way elite guards do. Even in 2025, when Damian Lillard went down and the team leaned back into Giannis as the primary initiator, the limits came back. Sure, he hit a 20-assist game, but it came during a stretch of injuries and desperation. The offense got predictable. Defenses collapsed into the paint, daring him to kick out. It was more survival mode than strategy. Giannis handling the ball full-time wasn't a revelation, it was a patch. The Bucks needed a floor leader, not a hybrid role forced by necessity. What started as a bold plan became a reminder. Elite skills still need structure, and this experiment lacked it. Isaiah's Knicks. In 2006, Isaiah Thomas became both the head coach and general manager of the New York Knicks. That gave him full control over everything, from trades and contracts to rotations and locker room culture. The result? One of the worst stretches in franchise history. In his first season as coach, the Knicks missed the playoffs again, going 33-49. Then they cratered to 23-59 in 2008, tying their worst record ever. But the record alone wasn't the full disaster. It was what came with it. Isaiah handed out bloated contracts to players like Eddie Curry, Jerome James, and Jared Jeffries. He traded away future picks, some of which could have landed All-Star, for players who barely contributed. The salary cap was wrecked, and there was no rebuilding plan in sight. Then came the off-court mess. In 2006, former executive Anucha Brown Sanders filed a lawsuit against Thomas in Madison Square Garden, accusing him of sexual harassment and retaliation. In 2007, a jury found MSG and Thomas liable. The total payout was over $11 million. The Knicks weren't just losing games, they were becoming a national embarrassment. Fans chanted "Fire Isaiah" at home games. A brawl with Denver added fuel to the fire. Even owner James Dolan had to step in, removing Thomas from both positions. By spring, he was out, banned from contact with play. This wasn't just bad basketball, it was dysfunction on every level, on the court, in the front office, and behind the scenes. Thomas's tenure was a cautionary tale of unchecked power and franchise decay. Mike Brown benched Kobe in crunch time. On March 25th, 2012, with just under 6 minutes left and the Lakers trailing Memphis by 14, Mike Brown pulled Kobe Bryant from the game. Kobe had just gone 4 for 4 in the third, leading a 15-0 run that got them back in it. Then suddenly, he was on the bench, just sitting there. Kobe had logged nearly 39 minutes. And sure, Brown said it was about rest, but it was crunch time. It wasn't a blowout. It wasn't garbage minute. The Lakers were still in the game, and this was Kobe Bryant. Resting him in that moment wasn't just odd, it was borderline mutiny material. Kobe was visibly furious, punching a chair during a timeout. After the game, he didn't blast the coach publicly, but the tension was obvious. He said he was upset. He said it was Brown's decision, but the subtext was screaming. Veterans in the locker room were confused. Even guys like Ramon Sessions admitted the moment felt off. The timing made no sense. Brown later stood by it, saying he'd do it again, but the damage had been done. This wasn't load management. This was mismanagement. Resting a star? Fine. Resting him during a comeback push when he's red hot on your home floor? That's coaching malpractice. The Lakers lost the game, 102-96. Kobe came back in with under 2 minutes left, but by then the spark was gone. What could have been a gritty comeback turned into a message no one wanted. The coach benched the leader, the team deflated, and the decision haunted Brown the rest of the season. It wasn't about fatigue. It was a moment of tone-deaf coaching that fractured trust. Earl Watson got fired after 3 games. The Suns opened the 2017 season with back-to-back beatdowns, losing by 48 to Portland and 42 to the Clippers. That was enough. Just 3 games in, they fired Earl Watson. He didn't even make it through a full week. This wasn't some slow-building drama. It was an immediate implosion. Watson had only recently signed a 3-year deal meant to guide a young core through a rebuild. Instead, he was yanked after the worst start in franchise history. The team looked lost on the court, and apparently, things off the court weren't any better. Eric Bledsoe fired off a tweet, "I don't want to be here." And the message wasn't subtle. That, combined with reported tension between Watson and general manager Ryan McDonough, lit the fuse. Owner Robert Sarver made the call. Watson was out. Jay Triano, the associate head coach, was promoted on the spot. Watson's final record as Suns coach, 33 wins and 85 losses. But the record wasn't the only issue. The timing made it a spectacle. It turned into a flashing red sign of chaos in Phoenix. The plan was supposed to be long-term growth with young talent. Instead, Watson's tenure turned into a punchline. Firing a head coach after 3 games screamed dysfunction. The roster was shaky, the front office was fractured, and the locker room was done listening. What started as a developmental project was over before it even started. The Suns weren't just rebuilding, they were rebooting in real time, and Watson became the face of the crash. Sprewell choked his coach at practice. On December 1st, 1997, things went from tense to explosive during a Warriors practice. PJ Carlesimo told Latrell Sprewell to make crisper passes. Sprewell told him to back off. Carlesimo stepped in anyway. That's when Sprewell grabbed him by the throat and choked him, 7 to 15 seconds before others pulled him off. And it didn't end there. After cooling down, showering, and changing, Sprewell came back and punched Carlesimo in the face. Not exactly your standard player-coach disagreement. The fallout was immediate. The Warriors suspended Sprewell for 10 days and voided the rest of his contract, over $23 million. Then the NBA stepped in. David Stern handed down a season-long 68-game suspension, calling it a premeditated assault. It became one of the stiffest penalties ever issued to a player at that point. Sprewell later tried to play it down, saying he didn't choke him hard enough to cut off air and pointed to scratch marks instead of bruises. But the damage was done. His time with Golden State was over. The team traded him to the Knicks in January of 1999. The entire episode became a defining moment in NBA history, not just for the violence, but because it exposed serious fractures between coaching styles, player temperament, and league discipline. Some teammates said Carlesimo's coaching rubbed guys the wrong way, but nobody could defend what happened. Sprewell's career went on, but the incident followed him everywhere, and the Warriors were left cleaning up a scandal that went far beyond basketball. One of the most infamous player-coach collisions ever, burned into the league's memory, and not because of what happened on the court. Pop made Sohan the point guard. It was supposed to be creative. It ended up a mess. Pop shifted Jeremy Sohan, a power forward with zero background at point, into the starting point guard role to start the 2023 season. The goal? Versatility. The result? Chaos. Sohan had never run an offense before. That didn't stop Pop from handing him the ball and asking him to organize NBA-level sets. From the beginning, it was shaky. The offense slowed down. Play stalled. Sohan couldn't break down defenders in pick and rolls, couldn't create consistent shots, and couldn't finish them either, shooting just 30% on role plays. He threw 4 scoring passes out of pick and rolls for the whole season. Meanwhile, turnovers piled up, fast break, points against spiked, and players looked unsure where to go. Analysts called it a morale killer. The Spurs offense often looked stuck in mud, especially during double-digit losing streaks. Wembanyama barely touched the ball in key stretches. The chemistry wasn't just off, it was non-functional. Pop said he liked the pace early on. Keldon Johnson backed Sohan publicly, but the numbers and results told a different story. The Spurs ended up with one of the league's worst offensive ratings. In the locker room, while quiet in the media, reflected frustration on the court. Fans saw it too. Reddit threads were full of blunt reality checks. Sohan wasn't a point guard, and everyone could see it. A few people floated experiment or long-term thinking, but most knew this wasn't working. The point-Sohan era became one of the most criticized strategic decisions of the season. It wasn't a bold success, it was a well-documented, slow-moving train wreck that never needed to happen. Fisher's Knicks era, the Knicks hired Derek Fisher in June of 2014, handing him a 5-year, $25 million deal right after he retired as a player. No coaching resume, no assistant experience, just a strong connection to Phil Jackson and an understanding of the triangle offense. That was the entire pitch. It went downhill immediately. In his first season, the Knicks finished 17-65, the worst record in franchise history. In year 2, they were 23-31 before Fisher was fired mid-season. His final record, 40 wins, 96 losses. Nothing worked. The triangle system that Jackson swore by never clicked. Fisher tried to implement it, but kept drifting away from it when things got rough. The players weren't built for it. Fisher wasn't equipped to teach it. And that disconnect turned into a slow collapse on both ends of the court. Then came the off-court chaos. Fisher got involved with Gloria Govan, ex-wife of former teammate Matt Barnes. Barnes reportedly drove across state lines and confronted him at her house. The NBA suspended Barnes, but Fisher wasn't disciplined. Still, the story exploded. Fisher later called it unfair and personal, but the drama didn't help a locker room already losing confidence in its coach. Fans saw him as a Phil Jackson puppet. Analysts said he lacked command of the team. Reddit threads picked apart the hiring, the system, and the results. It never looked like he had control. Fisher's time in New York wasn't just rocky. It was an organizational miss from day one. No plan, no structure, and no results. Add personal controversy, and it turned into another painful chapter in Knicks dysfunction. Carlisle and Rondo clad. When the Mavericks traded for Rajon Rondo in December of 2014, the idea was to get their next floor general. Carlisle wanted another Jason Kidd. What he got was the exact opposite. Rondo came into a top-ranked offense and immediately changed the tempo. He slowed things down, rejected structure, and fought Carlisle's control over the playbook. It didn't take long to explode. In February, against Toronto, Rondo ignored a timeout call. Carlisle walked onto the court mid-play, shouting. The two had a heated sideline argument. Then in the locker room, it got worse. Rondo was benched the rest of the game. Days later, the team suspended him for conduct detrimental to the team. The problem wasn't just one moment. The two had completely different philosophies. Carlisle needed a point guard who ran his system. Rondo wanted freedom to improvise. Instead, he fought the game plan, walked the ball up the floor, and clashed with teammates. Dallas's offensive numbers dropped. Team flow vanished. Morale dropped with it. By the playoffs, Rondo was pulled again, this time for good. The team cited a back injury, but Rondo later said that was fake. According to him, Carlisle was done coaching him and made up the excuse. Either way, he was gone. He didn't finish the series against Houston and never wore a Mavericks jersey again. The Mavericks won 50 games that year, but were bounced in the first round. The Rondo experiment was a flop, a bad fit on paper, a worse one in practice. It wasn't just a mismatch, it was a full-on derailment of a season that had title hopes. Dunleavy's power. In 2003, Mike Dunleavy Sr. joined the Clippers as both head coach and general manager. It was a long run, 7 seasons and 541 games, but results never matched the authority he held. Aside from a short playoff flash, it turned into years of mediocrity, capped by a messy exit that included lawsuits and accusations of fraud. The high point came in 2006, when the team won 47 games and made it out of the first round for the first time since moving to Los Angeles. That looked like progress, but that moment vanished fast. The Clippers missed the playoffs in 4 of Dunleavy's 7 seasons. The other 2 appearances were short-lived. They never built on the momentum. Dunleavy's regular season record, 613 wins, 716 losses, and most of that came while managing both the roster and the bench. He controlled player development, signings, and strategy, yet the team never found rhythm or consistency. Then came the exit. He stepped down as coach in early 2010. 1 month later, he was fired as general manager. The Clippers stopped paying his contract. Dunleavy sued, and an arbitrator awarded him $13.5 million. The team struck back, accusing him of fraud and claiming he never intended to finish the job. Instead of closing the chapter quietly, the relationship collapsed into public court battles. For a franchise already known for instability under Donald Sterling, this saga just added more dysfunction. Dunleavy lasted longer than any Clippers coach before him. But what did that stretch deliver? 1 playoff win, inconsistent rosters, and a front office fight that ended in legal drama. It wasn't just underwhelming, it was expensive failure, wrapped in 7 seasons of missed chances. D'Antoni benched Powell. In January of 2013, Mike D'Antoni made one of the most controversial calls of the Lakers season. He benched Powell and replaced him with Earl Clark. Powell, a 2-time champion and 4-time All-Star, was suddenly coming off the bench so the Lakers could play faster. D'Antoni said the team was better when we're small and claimed Powell was a better fit at backup center. At the time, Powell was struggling, averaging just over 10 points and 8 boards, shooting below 40%. But the change didn't just shift his minutes, it shook the locker room. D'Antoni's system, built on pace, space, and pick and rolls, clashed hard with a roster full of post-heavy veterans. Clark gave the Lakers energy for a stretch, but his numbers, around 9 points and 8 rebounds, weren't exactly groundbreaking. Meanwhile, chemistry tanked. Kobe Bryant was skeptical of the small ball direction. Dwight Howard didn't click with Nash in the pick and roll. And Powell, used to being a focal point, was relegated to backup duty without a clear path forward. The offense looked rushed, disjointed, and out of sync. The Lakers limped to a 45-37 record. their worst since 2007. They were swept out of the playoffs in the first round. D'Antoni's approach, designed for speed and flexibility, ended up wedged into a mismatched roster of bigs and aging stars. The Pau benching became the flashpoint. Instead of adapting the system to the players, D'Antoni forced the players to adapt to the system, and it didn't work. The season unraveled under conflicting philosophies, bruised egos, and a glaring disconnect between coach and roster. Stan Van Gundy makes Zion the point guard. Stan Van Gundy walked into New Orleans with big plans and an even bigger gamble. He handed Zion Williamson the keys and told him to drive the whole offense. Instead of letting Zion bulldoze his way in the paint like usual, Van Gundy tried to reinvent him as a full-time point forward. That meant Zion was bringing the ball up, making decisions, and setting up plays. Things most forwards aren't exactly built to do all game. And at first, the numbers looked shiny. Zion put up over 27 points a night and shot over 61% from the field across 61 games. But here's the twist. Everything around him slowed to a crawl. The rest of the team stood around like they were waiting for a bus. The offense got sticky. Movement dried up, and defenses just started swarming Zion because they knew nobody else could shoot consistently. The spacing was a disaster, and turnovers became a theme. They gave the ball away more than almost every other team. And when they lost the ball, their transition defense was basically non-existent. They ranked near the bottom in stopping fast breaks and gave up a ton of points in transition. Even though Zion thrived individually, the team couldn't keep up. They finished 31-41 and missed the playoffs again. Van Gundy admitted it himself. There were only 2 real shooters, and everyone just collapsed the paint. The experiment with Zion as the primary playmaker looked cool in theory, but the result was a clunky offense and a team stuck in neutral. Flip Saunders tries the triangle in Washington. Flip Saunders showed up in D.C. with a clipboard full of structure and a team full of improvisers. His plan? Blend triangle-style principles, like off-ball movement and floor spacing, with a squad built around Gilbert Arenas, who played like he was allergic to structure. Saunders wasn't a triangle purist, but he borrowed enough of it to make everyone uncomfortable. The Wizards had athleticism, shot creators, and guards who liked to run. But instead, they got slowed down by a playbook built for patience and precision. Flip wanted the team to push the pace. That sounds great, until you remember his past teams were among the slowest in the league. So while he said one thing, the team did the opposite. The offense became a clunky mashup of old school sets and players who didn't want to be parked in the corners or watching post entry. Arenas in particular struggled to adjust. Instead of free-flowing attacks, he had to navigate a half-court system that just didn't fit. It all unraveled fast. The Wizards stumbled to 26 wins in his first year, and the locker room cracked open. Between off-court chaos and players not buying in, the team drifted. By the start of the 2012 season, they opened 2-15. That was it. Flip was out. The team brought in Randy Whitman, and just like that, the triangle-inspired experiment ended. It wasn't that Flip didn't know basketball, it just wasn't the right group. Trying to install structured patterns in a chaos-loving roster ended with confused players, a broken identity, and no postseason to show for it. Thibs starts Elfrid Payton over Derrick Rose. Thibs entered the 2021 season with his typical loyalty to structure, and somehow that meant rolling with Elfrid Payton as the Knicks' starting point guard. Yep, even after Derrick Rose joined mid-season and looked way more effective, Thibs stuck with Payton through most of the regular season. Payton gave them about 10 points a game, didn't create much, and definitely didn't make defenses sweat. Meanwhile, Rose came off the bench and gave them way more playmaking and energy. When the playoffs hit, things got awkward fast. Game 1 against Atlanta, Payton started, played 5 minutes, scored nothing, and hit the bench like he had a flight to catch. Rose stepped in, took control, and from that moment, it was clear who should have been starting all along. Thibs finally pulled the switch mid-game in Game 2. Rose dropped 26 points and gave the team life. From Game 3 on, he owned the starting spot. Payton barely saw the court again. People questioned why it took until the playoffs to make the obvious move. Thibs might have been valuing defense or trying to reward Payton for the regular season minutes, but the gamble didn't pay off. The offense opened up once Rose ran the show. In hindsight, sticking with Payton in Game 1 cost them early momentum. Rose ended up playing 35 minutes per game in the series, and honestly, he was their most reliable piece. The hesitation to make the switch sooner just made the whole thing look like a stubborn miscalculation. Larry Drew's rotation chaos in Milwaukee. Larry Drew took over the Bucks in 2013, and instead of building chemistry, he ran the roster like it was a shuffleboard tournament. Right from preseason, no role was safe. He rotated starters like he was pulling names out of a hat. One night, it was Knight and Mayo. Next night, Ridnour and Neal. Then back to Knight. Then off again. No continuity, no logic. Players barely had time to get comfortable before being yanked or benched or swapped. It wasn't just annoying, it was toxic. Offensively, the team had no identity. They finished near the bottom in points per game, shooting percentage, and basically any stat that measures whether you know what you're doing. The sets broke down into desperate isolations from whoever happened to have the ball when the shot clock got low. Nobody knew their role, and it showed. Even Drew admitted mid-season that he felt lost and sad, which is never a quote you want from the guy calling plays. By the All-Star break, they tried to adjust with some trades, but Drew still wouldn't commit to a real rotation. Young players like Henson, Middleton, and Giannis were jerked around game to game, and veteran minutes were unpredictable. Morale tanked. The team gave up more often than not. They ended with 15 wins, the worst record in franchise history. When it was all over, the front office cleaned house. Drew was gone, and everyone agreed his refusal to lock in a steady lineup wrecked the season. No vision, no trust, no chance, just a chaotic mess from the bench on down. Luke Walton benches Julius Randle all season. Luke Walton made a call before the 2017 season tipped off that raised eyebrows across the board. He benched Julius Randle. This was the same Randle who had started almost every game the previous year, but Walton decided to make him the anchor of the second unit instead. His reasoning? He wanted energy and scoring off the bench, and apparently thought Randle could adjust to a new role. Spoiler, he did, but that doesn't mean the move made any sense. For the first 33 games, Randle came off the bench, playing around 20 minutes and still putting up over 12 points and nearly 7 boards a night. He was also one of the most efficient players in the league, shooting around 55% from the field. Somehow, the guy delivering production every night still couldn't crack the starting five. Walton called it a learning experience and stuck with it, even when the offense lacked structure and consistency. Then came the turning point. Brook Lopez went down, the team wasn't winning, and suddenly, Randle got the starting nod. After that, he exploded. 18 points per game, over 9 rebounds, and still hitting over 55% of his shots. He played all 82 games and looked like one of their best players, but by then, the damage had been done. There'd already been tension, frustration, and some behind-the-scenes friction between Randle and Walton. The benching didn't just waste production, it messed with chemistry. Most fans and analysts agree. Keeping Randle on the bench for that long made no basketball sense, and the team felt it. Cade Cunningham. He was once hyped as one of the next LeBrons, and while that label gets thrown around like confetti, Cade actually gave people reasons to say it. Back in Arlington, Texas, he showed early signs of dominance, then leveled up at Montverde Academy with an undefeated senior season. By college, he was torching the Big 12 at Oklahoma State with over 20 points a game and racking up every award they had lying around. He went first overall in the 2021 draft, and not long after, people were pointing to his stat lines and comparing them to LeBron's early days. He even outdid LeBron's age record with a 25-8-8 game that included 5 three-pointers. That got loud. Then came the injury, left shin stress fracture, season done. But instead of fading out, he came back like nothing happened. 22.7 points, 7.5 assists. New max deal worth $269 million. The next season, even better. He averaged 26.1 points and ranked top 10 in scoring and assists. He made his first All-Star game, landed All-NBA, and pushed Detroit into the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. In the postseason, he dropped a playoff triple-double and averaged 25 points, nearly 9 assists, and over 8 boards. So, is he the next LeBron? Not really, but he's carved out his own lane. Cooper Flagg. He started in tiny Newport, Maine, but his game was never small. As a freshman at Nokomis, he stacked over 20 points, 10 boards, and nearly 4 blocks a game. Then became the first freshman to win Maine's Top Player Award. After transferring to Montverde, he helped them go undefeated, grabbed multiple national awards, and proved he belonged in every top recruit convo. By the time he hit Duke, the next LeBron buzz was heating up. He dropped 42 points in an ACC game, set school records, and led Duke to the Final Four. And yeah, he won so many awards that his trophy shelf probably needs its own insurance policy. After one college season, he went first overall to Dallas in the 2025 draft. His summer debut was rocky, but he immediately bounced back with a 31-point performance. He got praised by Shaq for how calm he looked, and LeBron himself complimented his maturity and versatility. Analysts keep comparing his IQ and polish to LeBron's early days. One executive even said he's the most complete 18-year-old since LeBron. Scalabrine called him a basketball supercomputer. The Mavericks got a top pick who's already being compared to one of the greatest ever. But unlike a lot of names thrown into the next LeBron fire, Cooper's done nothing but earn the attention. From high school to college to the pros, everything points toward a player who's not overwhelmed by the noise. He's building something real. R.J. Barrett. Coming out of Canada, he already had buzz before he hit the States. After dominating high school ball in Mississauga, he transferred to Montverde and led them to an undefeated season, sweeping all major high school awards. The first player to do that since LeBron. That kicked off the next LeBron talk. At Duke, he didn't slow down. He averaged over 22 points, nearly 8 boards, and 4 assists a game, while also grabbing first-team All-American, ACC Player of the Year, and dropping 33 points in his very first game. He even recorded one of Duke's rare triple-doubles. Then came the draft. He was taken 3rd overall by New York in 2019. Before turning 21, he had already put up over 2,000 points, 500 rebounds, and 300 assists. Only a few names have done that, and yes, LeBron's one of them. He averaged around 18 points over 4.5 seasons with the Knicks, but didn't quite reach that superstar tier. In 2023, he got traded to Toronto, and things picked up. He dropped 37 points in one game, earned his first triple-double, and averaged 21 points, over 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in the following season. LeBron comparisons were strong early, especially after the high school awards sweep. Head-to-head, Barrett's held his own statistically, but over time, it's clear there's still a big gap between promise and that legendary legacy. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Anthony Davis. He wasn't always a giant, but by the time he hit his senior year in Chicago, he'd grown into a 6'10" shot-blocking nightmare. He went from an unknown charter school guard to the top high school recruit in the country. Then at Kentucky, he wrecked the paint, set records in blocks, and led them to a national title while stacking awards like Defensive Player of the Year and Most Outstanding Player. No one questioned why he went first in the 2012 draft. In New Orleans, he exploded onto the scene. He made the All-Rookie team, earned All-Star nods, led the league in blocks, and stacked All-NBA and All-Defense honors. By the time he got traded to the Lakers in 2019, he was already feared. That same year, he went off with a 40-point, 20-rebound game in just 30 minutes, and later helped them win a championship in 2020. He signed a massive deal, kept stuffing stat sheets, and added an NBA Cup win in 2023 with a monster performance. He ended up winning a championship with LeBron. By 2025, he was traded to Dallas in a deal that shook the league. In his debut, he dropped 26 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 blocks. The comparisons to LeBron when he was young came less from hype and more from impact. He redefined the modern big. He's won 3 golds with Team USA, been an All-Star 10 times, and continues to anchor elite-level play no matter what jersey he's wearing. O.J. Mayo. Back when most kids were worried about algebra, he was dropping 23 points per game in 7th grade against high schoolers. By the time he hit his senior year, he was putting up nearly 30 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists a night across multiple schools. He had a state title, 2 Mr. Basketball awards, and the label everyone tosses around carelessly, the next LeBron. At USC, he played 1 strong season, averaging over 20 points and earning All-Pac 10 honors. He went 3rd in the 2008 draft and got traded to Memphis on day 1. Right away, he showed out, 2nd in Rookie of the Year voting, All-Rookie First Team, and flashed the kind of scoring talent that got him all that attention in the first place. But it didn't last. He averaged nearly 14 points across 8 NBA seasons with Memphis, Dallas, and Milwaukee. But suspensions and inconsistency started to chip away at the shine. A 10-game suspension in 2011, a fight over a card game, and eventually a fractured ankle, and a league ban in 2016 for violating the anti-drug policy. After the NBA, he bounced overseas, Puerto Rico, China, Russia, Egypt, and finally transitioned to coaching in 2024. The LeBron comparisons were built on raw talent and early dominance. But unlike LeBron's 20-plus year legacy, Mayo's career veered off course early and never made it back. Victor Wembanyama. They called him the most hyped prospect since LeBron. And honestly, he gave them plenty of reasons. Born in France in 2004, he grew up surrounded by athletes. By age 15, he was already playing pro ball in France. From Nanterre to Asvel to Metropolitans 92, he kept stacking awards. League MVP, best defender, top scorer, rebounder, and blocker. Before he ever touched an NBA court, he had already built a resume that made scouts foam at the mouth. Then the Spurs grabbed him 1st overall in 2023. His rookie season wasn't just good, It was absurd. He became the first rookie ever to post over 1,500 points, 200 blocks, and 100 threes in a single season. He led the league in blocks, made all-defense first team, and won Rookie of the Year unanimously. His second year started even louder, 50-point games, 5x5 stat lines, and more freaky numbers. He earned an all-star nod, but got shut down after a deep vein thrombosis diagnosis in his shoulder. At that point, he was averaging over 24 points, 11 rebounds, nearly 4 assists, and led the league again in blocks. In the Olympics, he helped France grab silver and looked dominant. The comparisons to LeBron, those came from his total package: size, skill, IQ, and the way he bends the game. He's not just tall, he's terrifying. And even with the setback, it feels like this is just the beginning. Andrew Wiggins. When he came out of Huntington Prep, people were already throwing around the next LeBron label. He had the bounce, the polish, and every major high school award you could name. Naismith, Gatorade, all of it. He went to Kansas for one season, then got picked first overall in 2014 by Cleveland, only to be traded before even suiting up, sent to Minnesota for Kevin Love. In Minnesota, he hit the ground running. He won Rookie of the Year, made All-Rookie First Team, and became one of the Timberwolves' franchise leaders in games played and total points. His production was steady, but he didn't quite become the game changer many expected. In 2020, the Warriors picked him up, and everything shifted. He played a key role in their 2022 title run with a massive 26-point, 13-rebound finals game. That same year, he became an all-star. Then in 2025, he was traded to Miami in a 5-team deal. In March, he dropped 42 points to break a brutal losing streak. That season, he averaged 18 points, 4.5 rebounds, and nearly 3 assists while shooting almost 45%. The LeBron comparisons didn't age well. Wiggins himself called them dumb, said no one's gonna be the next LeBron. He's right. The hype was real, but his career turned into something else. Solid, respected, and still going. Just not the LeBron wrote. Luka, from Slovenia to Spain to the NBA, his rise has been ridiculous. He debuted professionally at 16 with Real Madrid, and by 18, he had already been named EuroLeague MVP, Final Four MVP, and Liga ACB MVP, all in one season. That resume alone put him on the next LeBron radar before he even got drafted. He entered the league in 2018, going 3rd overall and landing in Dallas. Rookie of the Year? Check. All-Rookie First Team? Obviously. Fast forward a few years, and he led the league in scoring while dragging the Mavericks to the NBA Finals. Then came the blockbuster, February 2025. Dallas traded him to the Lakers in a mid-season deal for Anthony Davis. It was the first trade ever to feature 2 All-NBA players mid-year. Luka put up 28 points, over 8 rebounds, and 7.5 assists per game through 28 appearances in Los Angeles. He signed a 3-year deal worth $165 million, becoming the face of the franchise in the post-LeBron era. His numbers are insane. Over 28 points, 8.5 rebounds, and more than 8 assists per game through 450 games. The LeBron talk? It's not wild. From IQ to playmaking to stat lines, he's been pacing ahead of LeBron's early numbers. But Luka's not a copy. He's his own blueprint. And now with the Lakers, he's chasing a legacy that looks less like a shadow and more like a spotlight. Anthony Edwards. He came out of Atlanta with serious hype, 5-star recruit, top of the 2019 class, and already showing flashes of NBA-level athleticism. At Georgia, he averaged over 19 points a game as a freshman and walked away with SEC Freshman of the Year. He went number 1 in the 2020 draft and hit the ground running in Minnesota. His rookie year was strong enough for all rookie honors and a second-place finish in Rookie of the Year voting. Over 5 seasons, he's averaged nearly 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. But it's the last couple seasons that pushed him into a different conversation. In 2024, he became the first Timberwolves player to average over 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Only 3 players, LeBron, Michael Jordan, and Oscar Robertson, had hit 2,000 points, 400 boards, and 400 assists at a younger age. By 2025, he averaged over 27 points, led the league in 3-pointers made, and became the youngest player ever to hit 1,000 made threes. In the playoffs, he's averaging almost 27 points with multiple 40-point performances and 2 straight conference finals appearances. He's drawn LeBron comparisons because of that rare mix of dominance, confidence, and production. Even Shaq compared him to young Kobe and Wade. Edwards called out the pressure, handled the spotlight, and just kept rising. At this point, he's earned his place in the conversation without needing anyone else's legacy. Paolo Banchero. He came into the league with a polished game and in just 3 seasons, he's already made it clear he's the guy in Orlando. Born in Seattle, he was a 2-sport athlete in high school before locking in on basketball and averaging over 22 points, 11 boards, and nearly 4 assists by his junior year. At Duke, he led them to the Final Four and averaged over 17 points per game as a freshman. He was picked first overall in the 2022 draft and didn't wait to make noise. 27 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 blocks in his debut. Only LeBron had a similar stat line in their first game. He won Rookie of the Year and quickly became the focal point of the Magic offense. His second year, an All-Star selection and a jump to over 22 points per game. Then came 2025. He dropped 50 points in the season opener, missed time with a torn oblique, then came back and casually scored 36 with 10 rebounds. He finished that season averaging nearly 26 points across 46 games. In the playoffs, he's averaged 28 points over 12 career games and hit nearly 45% from deep this past postseason. The LeBron comparisons still pop up. His size, scoring, and poise have kept him in could be the best in the East conversation. Orlando clearly agrees they gave him $239 million to stay and lead their next era. Ben Simmons, he came into the league with hype and expectations that were bigger than his jump shot. Born in Melbourne, moved to Florida, and starred at Montverde, where he was named National Player of the Year. After one season at LSU, where he averaged big numbers but missed the NCAA tournament, he went first overall in the 2016 draft. In Philly, things started strong. Rookie of the Year, All-Star appearances, All-Defense honors, and triple-doubles that had people whispering about LeBron comparisons. LeBron even said Simmons could be better than him if he put in the work. But in the 2021 playoffs, things unraveled. He passed up an open dunk in Game 7, shot 34% from the line, and suddenly that LeBron talk dried up. He held out, got traded to Brooklyn, and spent more time on injury reports than on the court, 90 games in 3 years. By 2025, Brooklyn waived him. He signed a minimum deal with the Clippers and had a decent debut, 12 points, 7 boards, 6 assists. But no one's throwing around LeBron comparisons now. That label, Next LeBron, didn't survive the injuries, the confidence collapse, or the brutal playoff missteps. Today, Simmons is a role player trying to reset his career, not a franchise savior. The skill was real, the flashes were real, but the full picture? Nowhere close to the path LeBron carved out. Zion Williamson. From the moment he exploded onto the scene in high school with gravity-defying dunks, the Next LeBron talk kicked into overdrive. At Spartanburg Day School, he was a 5-star phenom, winning state titles while breaking backboards on YouTube. Then came Duke, where he averaged over 22 points and nearly 9 rebounds, while shooting an absurd 68% from the field. He won every college award they could print and went first overall in the 2019 draft. His rookie debut, 22 points and 7 boards in limited minutes. And then he rattled off one of the longest streaks, a 20-point, 50% shooting games by a rookie in league history. By 2021, he was an all-star and dropping 30-plus points on insane efficiency, like that 14 for 15 shooting night that put him in rare company. The problem has never been his talent. It's been staying on the court. He missed the entire 2022 season with a foot injury, and in 2025, he only played 30 games, sidelined again by a hamstring issue and a backbone contusion. He's averaged nearly 25 points per game on almost 60% shooting across his career, but every season has felt like a cliffhanger. The LeBron comparison made sense in terms of impact and freakish ability, but now, at 25, it's about whether he can stay healthy long enough to write his own legacy instead of being just another what-if. Jabari Parker. He was that guy in high school, won 4 straight state titles at Simeon in Chicago, and was crowned Player of the Year by just about every outlet that mattered. At Duke, he looked like the real deal, averaged over 19 points, pulled down rebounds, hit threes, and collected awards. By the 2014 draft, he was neck and neck with Andrew Wiggins for top pick talk, and the next LeBron buzz was hanging in the air. He went second overall to Milwaukee, started strong, and then came the first ACL tear. He bounced back, looked solid, then tore it again. After that, things never quite got back on track. He played for 6 teams, over 8 NBA seasons: Bucks, Bulls, Wizards, Hawks, Kings, Celtics, and never stuck long enough to regain that early momentum. He still averaged about 14 points and over 5 boards per game on nearly 50% shooting, but the injuries and the defensive struggles made him expendable fast. Eventually, the NBA door started closing. Then came Barcelona. He signed overseas in 2023, dropped 34 points in one game, the club's highest in over a decade, and kept his career alive. By 2025, he was with Partizan Belgrade in Serbia, playing in the EuroLeague and ABA League. The LeBron comparison? A draft day headline, more than anything else. In head-to-head matchups, LeBron dominated the stat sheets and won 10 of 13 games. Parker had the hype, but the path split early and stayed that way. Ja Morant. He wasn't a blue-chip recruit coming out of high school, but by his second season at Murray State, he became the first NCAA player ever to average 20 points and 10 assists in a season. He went second overall in the 2019 draft and immediately became the face of the Memphis Grizzlies. He won Rookie of the Year, earned multiple All-Star selections, grabbed a Most Improved Player award, and made All-NBA. His career averages through 6 seasons sit at over 22 points, 7 assists, and nearly 5 rebounds per game. In 2025, he put up 23 points and over 7 assists across 50 games. The LeBron comparison was more for his highlight, dunks, and playmaking flair. He's also had his share of turbulence. He missed games in 2025 due to foot soreness, a hip injury in the playoffs, and fell short of award eligibility by not reaching 65 games. Off the court, he's had repeated issues, suspensions, fines, and NBA warnings over gun gesture celebrations. He was fined $75,000 in 2025 after ignoring league warnings. Despite everything, the Grizzlies front office still backs him as their franchise star. LeBron carved out a legacy through dominance and durability. Ja's path has been much louder and bumpier, but his raw talent keeps him in the spotlight, even as the comparisons stay mostly at arm's length. Marvin Bagley. Back in high school, he was the #1 guy in the entire class of 2017. He reclassified early, dominated at Sierra Canyon, and was putting up nearly 25 points and over 10 boards per game. Then he took that momentum straight to Duke and didn't slow down at all. In his one college season, he averaged 21 points and 11 rebounds, shot over 61% from the field, and won both ACC Player of the Year and Rookie of the Year. No surprise, he was named a consensus first-team All-American. There was early noise about him being the next LeBron. The expectations were still sky high. He got picked second overall in 2018 by Sacramento. His rookie season earned him a spot on the All-Rookie First Team. Then came Detroit, where he had a couple bright moments, including a game with 21 points and 18 rebounds. He bounced to Washington, had a brief run in Memphis, then went right back to Washington in July 2025. Through 289 games, he's averaged 12 points and 6.5 rebounds. As a starter, 13.6 and 7.5. Markelle Fultz. Coming out of DeMatha Catholic High School, he was one of the top players in the country, a 5-star recruit with McDonald's All-American honors under his belt. Then at Washington, he absolutely filled the stat sheet, averaging over 23 points, nearly 6 rebounds, and almost 6 assists per game in just one season. That earned him first-team All-Pac-12 and third-team All-American honors. So yeah, it made sense when Philadelphia took him first overall in 2017. But right out of the gate, things went sideways. A mysterious shoulder injury, later diagnosed as thoracic outlet syndrome, completely threw off his shooting. Still, he did manage to become the youngest player ever at the time to record a triple-double. In 2019, he landed in Orlando and had a few strong moments, including a 26-point game and a 28-point performance in separate seasons. The production was there when he was healthy, but consistency stayed out of reach. Then came Sacramento in February 2025 after the Kings needed depth at point guard, but his numbers dipped again, averaging just under 3 points per game with limited minutes. He went from the next LeBron to more about what could have been than generational hype. Injuries kept resetting the narrative. By 2025, he'd shifted firmly into a backup role, miles away from the spotlight he once owned as a #1 pick, Bronny James. From the start, his name drew attention. Being LeBron's son made that automatic. But Bronny built his own reputation at Sierra Canyon, especially during his senior season when he earned McDonald's All-American honors. His stats on the EYBL circuit showed balance, with around 11.5 points, nearly 5 rebounds, and close to 4 assists per game. Then came USC. After suffering cardiac arrest in July 2023, Bronny returned by December, less than 5 months later. Over 25 college games, he averaged under 5 points, close to 3 rebounds, and just over 2 assists. It was a quiet season statistically, but given the circumstances, his comeback was huge. He declared for the draft and went 55th overall to the Lakers, joining LeBron to form the first father-son duo in NBA history. He scored his first NBA points that October and appeared in 27 games total, but with limited production, averaging just over 2 points per game on rough shooting percentages. In the G League, though, he exploded, scoring over 21 points per game and dropping 30 or more several times. He's dealt with lingering effects from his heart condition and faced some sharp criticism, including one incident where he skipped a teammate's press conference. Still, there's hope. Coaches believe in his defense, shooting growth, and effort. He's not the next LeBron, but he might still find his own lane in the league. Greg Oden, coming out of Indiana, he was a high school monster, leading Lawrence North to 3 straight state titles. He swept up every award you could name: Gatorade Player of the Year, Naismith, Indiana Mr. Basketball. Then at Ohio State, his lone college season was dominant. Nearly 16 points, 10 rebounds, and over 3 blocks per game. He picked up Defensive Player of the Year and was a consensus All-American. In the 2007 draft, Portland made him the top pick, but the celebration didn't last. Right before his rookie season, he needed microfracture surgery and missed the whole year. When he did play, his numbers were solid, around 9 points and 7 rebounds per game, but his knees kept betraying him. He missed season after season, got waived in 2012, and it never really came back around. He tried again with Miami in 2013, got on the court a bit, and even made a playoff appearance. Later, he went to China and actually put up strong numbers, 13 points and 12 rebounds a game with Jiangsu. He retired in 2016. Early on, he called the next LeBron, although some comparisons leaned more toward dominant centers like David Robinson. His story isn't about legacy records, it's one of potential crushed by injury. Post-retirement, he turned the page, finished his degree, joined college coaching, and fought off personal demons. For a guy who never played more than 105 NBA games, that's a real comeback. Shabazz Muhammad. He came out of Bishop Gorman High School with the kind of hype most players only dream about. He wasn't just winning awards, he was collecting them like trading cards. Mr. Basketball USA, Naismith Prep Player of the Year, MVP of the McDonald's All-American Game, and champion of the Powerade Jam Fest Dunk Contest. At one point, rivals ranked him #1 in the nation. There were even whispers from fans online, tossing his name into next LeBron territory. At UCLA, he backed up the buzz with nearly 18 points and over 5 rebounds per game in his one season. He earned first-team All-Pac-12 and Freshman of the Year. His eligibility situation sparked some brief drama, but once it was cleared up, he stayed on the court and produced. The Timberwolves picked him 14th overall in 2013 after a draft night trade. He had some early success, even making the all-rookie first team. But after a few years in Minnesota and a short stint with Milwaukee, his NBA chapter closed. Since then, he's bounced around the globe. China, the Philippines, Lebanon, Indonesia, you name it. As of 2025, he's playing in Jakarta. As for the LeBron comparison, that faded fast. They matched up 8 times, with LeBron winning 6. Shabazz never reached that level, but he carved out a long global basketball career that plenty of players would still envy. Emoni Bates. By the time he was in middle school, people were already pointing cameras at him. At 12 years old, he was dropping nearly 30 points and 12 rebounds at AAU events. By high school, he stood close to 6'10" and was a consensus 5-star recruit. He won Gatorade National Player of the Year as a sophomore, something not even LeBron did at that stage. And yeah, a few headlines did go there. Some folks actually said he was better than LeBron at 15, but once he got to college, the story shifted. He started at Memphis in 2021 as the youngest player in college basketball. Injuries and a position change slowed things down. He averaged just under 10 points and only a few rebounds. After transferring to Eastern Michigan, he looked more like himself again. 19 points a game, third-team All-MAC, and a wild 43-point performance. Cleveland grabbed him 49th overall in the 2023 draft. Since then, it's been a two-way deal. Some time with the Cavaliers, more time lighting up the G League. His best NBA moment so far, a 25-point game in April 2025. The next LeBron label didn't stick. Some scouts lean more toward a Kevin Durant comparison too. Tall frame, smooth shooter, perimeter style. He hasn't hit that level either, but he's still in the mix, still finding his rhythm in the league. Darius Miles. Out of East St. Louis High School, he lit up the national scene, winning Mr. Basketball USA and landing on the McDonald's All-American squad in 2000. He skipped college altogether and became the 3rd overall pick in that year's draft, going to the Clippers. That made him the highest drafted high school player ever at the time. His rookie season was a hit. He made the all-rookie first team and became the first prep-to-pro player to do it. Across his NBA career, he averaged just over 10 points, and nearly 5 rebounds across 446 games. His best game, a wild 47-point outburst. Injuries crushed the momentum. In 2006, he had microfracture surgery on his right knee and missed 2 full seasons. Portland eventually let him go, and he had short stops in Boston and Memphis before his NBA career ended in 2009. There were some next LeBron echoes early on, mostly fan chatter connecting the high school hype and athleticism. But once LeBron arrived, any comparison turned laughable. After the league, Darius shifted gears. He appeared in a couple films, lost a fortune, filed for bankruptcy in 2016, and later opened up about his mental health battles. These days, he co-hosts the Knuckleheads podcast with Quentin Richardson, turning his NBA story into something much bigger than the stat sheet. VJ King. Back in high school, he got buzzed up fast, mostly because he played at St. Vincent St. Mary, where LeBron built his name. As a freshman, King became the first to start there since LeBron, which instantly kicked off comparisons. Then he transferred to Paul VI in Virginia and kept the numbers coming. Nearly 19 points as a junior, then over 23 points, and almost 10 boards his senior year. He earned Gatorade Player of the Year in Virginia and was a 5-star recruit. He committed to Louisville in 2016, and the expectations were sky high. But over 3 seasons, he averaged just over 6 points and under 3 rebounds per game. His sophomore year was the peak. 8.6 points and 3.3 boards while starting every game. After his junior season, he declared for the draft but didn't hear his name called. King signed with the Knicks, but only made it as far as the G League. From there, he took his game overseas, first in the UK with the Bristol Flyers, where he made Team of the Year. Then came Germany in 2023, and in 2024, Italy's top league with Victoria Libertas Pesaro. There, he's putting up almost 14 points a night. That next LeBron talk, it faded fast. It was more about location and early promise than anything real. But Kings kept his career going, carving out a solid role internationally. Tiger Campbell. He came up through La Lumiere in Indiana, where he reclassified into the class of 2018 and led one of the top high school programs in the country. By his senior year, he was putting up over 15 points and 7 assists per game. That court vision made him a top point guard prospect. And after decommitting from DePaul, he locked in with UCLA. Right before his freshman season, though, he tore his ACL and redshirted the year. From there, he got to work. Over 133 games, he averaged just over 11 points, nearly 5 assists, and shot over 79% from the line. His senior year was his most efficient, and he left UCLA as one of the top assist men in school history, just behind Pooh Richardson. After going undrafted in 2023, he joined the Magic for Summer League, but didn't land on the roster, so he went to France. At Saint-Quentin, he put up nearly 17 points and over 9 assists per 36 minutes. Then it was Germany in 2024, averaging around 13-5 in Bundesliga play. In July 2025, he signed with the Tasmania Jackjumpers for the upcoming NBL season. As for LeBron comparisons, they are completely gone. On top of that, Tiger's always been known for his court IQ and passing, not highlight real dunks or freakish athleticism. His journey's built on precision, patience, and gritty overseas work, not empty hype. Tyreke Evans. Back in high school, he was basically putting up video game numbers, over 32 points, nearly 9 rebounds, almost 6 assists, and 4 steals per game. He earned McDonald's All-American Game MVP and came into college as one of the most hyped players in the country. At Memphis, he ran point and didn't disappoint, averaging over 17 points in his freshman year and picking up multiple freshman honors. Then came the NBA. Sacramento took him 4th overall in 2009, and Tyreke exploded onto the scene. He put up over 20 points, 5 rebounds, and nearly 6 assists per game as a rookie. That put him in rare company. Only LeBron, Michael Jordan, and Oscar Robertson had done it before. He won Rookie of the Year and looked like the league's next big star. He bounced around after that. New Orleans, Memphis, Indiana, and averaged nearly 16 points across almost 600 career games. But it wasn't all smooth. Injuries chipped away at his momentum. And in 2019, he got hit with a suspension for violating the league's drug policy. He returned years later, but never found his old form. He was absolutely in the next LeBron conversation early on, especially after that rookie season. The size, the playmaking, the stats, they lined up. But over time, his career became one of those what could have been stories. The talent was real. The trajectory just didn't hold. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.